Welcome to the Vertex Podcast. I'm sitting down with creative professionals of all types each week to get more into the human side behind their incredible work. I get into their life stories, I get into their challenges, and I get into what fuels their creative drive in hopes to show you that your journey might be similar and that your dreams might be closer than they appear. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into it. Good things.
What's up,
Hey, what's poppin'? Pup, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Chilling.
What's up? Once again, thank you so much for being here. I am super excited for this conversation. And you're even making the post, your flyer just riled up people. They were like, oh shoot, like, man, y'all
really?
always coming through. Like, oh, this is about to be cool. I'm definitely pulling up. So yeah,
that's what's up, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you that. I mean, I'm sure you know already, but like, I mean, when people hear your name coming around the corner, they're like, oh, like stuff gets real.
And I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Man, I've been listening to a lot of Tyler the Creator recently. Like between I still wasn't even done with Chromacopia all the way, and then he dropped that Don't Tap That Glass. And it seems like he's just on some new stuff. Like, and I really enjoy how with every album he has like a new persona, like a new character, some new like thing that he's on.
He's an artist. Right? He's a true artist, man. That's what I like about Tyler the Creator, man. He's always kind of, push the limits.
Yeah. And he's not afraid to like tell him, like kind of let people know where he's at any given time. And I think that from my perspective, I've seen you do a lot of that as well, just in terms of the different ways that you go, the different disciplines that you express yourself in. And I wanted to ask you if you could give us maybe a brief overview of the different characters that you have that you kind of embody. Like, you know how with Tyler, he'll have the different, like, this is Chromacopia, this is Igor, this is this guy, that guy. I feel like I've seen some of those things in you as well. And so, would you agree with that or?
Oh, definitely, man. The thing is, I get not really bored, but being a creative, and I mean, ever since I was a child, like, I just like to express myself in different channels.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always, been a deep hip hop head, and back in the day, also a heavy dancer. I used to love to dance, making the ciphers and stuff, freestyle and all that stuff. And I was an MC for a long time too in Hawaii. And it's just funny because my partner to me was always the more sicker MC. He went by Omega 6. He's an Okinawan black dude back home. Shout out to Omega 6. He's an insane MC. But after performances or whatever, people definitely noticed him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like MCing and rhyming and stuff, that shit was like more like of like a thing to do, like back in the day for us, there was, the elements of hip hop, which was, like graffiti, MCing, DJing, B-boying, and all that stuff. I stuck to the stuff that was free, which was graffiti, because, there was bombing and hitting the walls, and then there was freestyling. With rhyming, it was fun to do shows and open up for, some of my heroes or whatever. But I always felt like it wasn't something that I guess I didn't look at it as a career or try to like push the limits to get that far in it, It was something fun for me in my youth. And painting was my real passion. But it's just funny because when I stuck to the painting and doing all that stuff, it still threw me into the hip hop community. And I still ended up meeting my heroes, and even becoming friends with some of these guys. You know what I mean? So I guess hip hop's always been in my blood and always just followed me.
Yeah, sounds like it. So which so you got into hip hop before painting, or it sounded like maybe you got into painting first, or was it all at the same
I was
time?
always I was always drawing. Like when I was a kid, I was inspired by like Saturday morning cartoons from GI Joe to Transformers, and even like uh Saturday Kung Fu theater, all that kind of stuff.
Mm,
Like,
not familiar with
I mean,
that
this
one.
is way back, man. This is like 80s.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're at.
dude, I'm older, so those things inspired me hella. And then like movies like Beat Street and Breaking and all that shit kind of like threw me into the mix too. So I mean, it all kind of came hand in hand together.
Mhm,
The hip hop and the graph, and or just the I guess the lore of graph, and because I lived in Hawaii, so I'm watching movies about New York City or
mhm,
big urban cities that we didn't have all that. We lived on an island with beaches and sun and all that stuff, so it was just different that way. But we
it
were so fascinated by it that I gravitated to it because I always my mom and them were into like funk, soul, and 70s rock, and reggae, and so that was instilled in me from the get-go. Pretty much black music, what I mean. My parents had soul, so it
mhm,
like got me into all that, and that was just a direct leeway into hip-hop, you know what I mean. So I gravitated to it.
mm. Yeah, that's cool. Like I was just about to ask you where that influence kind of came from, but I mean, I can see, especially if like they got it playing through the house, like while y'all cleaning up or something. I know, like I
Oh
got
yeah.
a lot of big, like I got a lot of love for gospel music for that same reason. Like it was something where on the weekends, if mama's in the house cleaning up or something, she's got gospel playing all through the house, and like, and when I was younger, I was like, dang it, that means it's time to get up and clean. But nowadays,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
like
yeah.
I see it
Totally.
finally.
I know exactly. Yeah,
So
my
then,
parents just, Jackson 5 and even Sade and, all that stuff from the get go. Marvin Gaye, Otis Redding, like all that stuff was always
yeah,
playing. So it kind of
yeah,
like, just like you though, like when that stuff was playing, it means we're doing some housework. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. So then, I guess, how did those types of things translate into like who got you out into the world with it then? In terms of like, I'm gonna go out and start dancing. I'm gonna go out and start, painting. I'm gonna go out and do these things. Like, what got you out there essentially?
Well, basically, when hip hop hit the islands, you know what I mean? Like, um, and those movies, like we were totally inspired. And like I'm 48, so my generation, when I was young as a kid in the 80s, like we saw the emergence of Run DMC and Fat Boys and Salt and Pepper and all that stuff. And those are like the days of party dancing. So I was emulating those dances and stuff that I saw on MTV or whatever,
Mm,
and that gravitated towards the family parties. And of course, in the 80s, a big thing was mobile DJs. So my cousin them, they had like a mobile DJ company, and they would play at the weddings, the big parties, and and I was that little kid when my mom and dad would be like, "Yo, go out there and dance," you know what I mean? And they give me like $5, go out there and dance. They
uh-huh.
give you $5, you know what I mean?
Man, that
And
never
then
used to work. That would never
huh?
work for me. Like I used to be like, man, keep that $5. I'm not doing it.
That's hilarious. But yeah, I was never ashamed to do that shit. I loved dancing when I was a kid, so all that stuff. And then even my dad, like, doing island stuff, like going and catching crab or fishing and stuff. He was bumping like Zapp and Roger and early funk, and like George Clinton and all those guys was
Mhm.
always bumping out of the radio. So it was just natural to become a hip hop head after listening to all that stuff.
Mm, okay, yeah. And then when it comes to your your creativity, what types of things were you drawing in those times? Like subject matter
Um,
wise.
Comic book stuff, you know. I used to love drawing Ninja Turtles, so
Mm-hmm.
I would draw a Ninja Turtle, and then I would trace that Ninja Turtle, and then make the other Ninja Turtles because you just need that one.
Oh.
You know that one. You just need
Yeah,
that one design, and then you can change the colors of the mask and the sashes. You know what I mean? So you have all the
dang.
turtles.
That's so smart.
That
I
or
never thought of that.
oh yeah, man. That and then I was heavily into comics, so Wolverine, X-Men. I would basically just sit there and redraw the covers that I was into or pages and stuff.
Hmm.
Test myself if I can sketch them out and stuff. But, the influence came from everybody. Like my pops. My pops used to be. He used to have those old '70s vans with the beds in them, the
Okay,
bucket
yeah.
seats and stuff.
Hmm.
And my dad, I remember being a little kid and watching my dad draw, and what he would do is he'd make a blueprint of his van, and then he would make designs of what the airbrush design would be on the van. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
like the graphic, because back in the day, people would airbrush the cars and get all the graphics on the side of the car. So my dad would like make his own graphics on this little blueprints of his van, and
Oh,
he would just
yeah.
keep changing them, even though it never happened. He used to love doing that. But I remember that vividly, like watching him do that. And my grandpa was an oil painter, a sculptor. He did everything, man. He was a carpenter. He built his own spear guns. So
Hmm.
growing up around that and seeing him channel his creativity in so many different mediums definitely inspired me. You know what I mean? Like Gramps could do everything. So, like
Hmm.
I wanted to be like him, you know?
For sure. For sure. Man, my grandmother used to do a lot of sewing and tailoring for like Tyler Perry movies and for
Oh,
even some of the
crazy.
recent ones. Like she worked on not the second Black Panther, but the first one. And like,
Sick.
I mean, a lot of movies. And I used to just watch her kind of be up all night sewing, trying to meet deadlines and stuff like that. And it's
The
really
costumes and
cool.
stuff.
Yeah, like the not necessarily
Wow.
like not like the suit of black, but like
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
not like the super suit, but like the clothes, like the regular clothes if he's like in a
The
casual
clothes that
setting.
the people, the villagers would wear and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just
That's right.
really
You're
cool
from
to see.
Atlanta, man. That's a movie town out there. So
Absolutely.
very cool, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I asked or I mentioned that because I know that she gave me a bunch of good tips in terms of just living a creative life, and even hearing her story helped me to kind of give me the courage to like brave my own path as a creative, even if like if it didn't seem as like feasible at the time. I wanted to know if did you get any wisdom or any tidbits from your granddad where like that still kind of whispered to you today.
Oh yeah, definitely. What is funny is we used to watch Bob Ross together.
Oh man.
So,
Oh.
painting happy trees and mountains and stuff. My grandpa was really into him. So sometimes he would set up his oil setup and he would sit there while Bob Ross was painting and he would be like, going hand to hand, like play by play, like painting doing a painting and stuff.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I would just sit there and watch. I was never allowed to touch his stuff though. He was super strict about that, but I would sit there and watch him.
Oh yeah.
That and then another thing is which is crazy is he had a love for just the world, like travel and stuff.
Mhm.
And documentaries on animals and different cultures and like the stuff you see, like Planet Earth and stuff like that. My grandpa was into that kind of stuff. So we would sit there and watch Jacques Cousteau. You know who Jacques Cousteau was?
I remember the name. I can't see anything in my head when I hear it though.
So Jacques Cousteau was like an oceanographer, but he was an explorer. So he would explore the oceans, and he would do submarine dives and study animals and stuff like that. I used to watch that with them and doing all the travels. My grandpa also collected National Geographic magazines and encyclopedias that dealt with different animals and different cultures around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And all that gravitated to me because I didn't know the answer then, but it all made sense to me later, becoming an artist. And my grandpa always wanted to become, I guess, he always wanted to follow art. But back in the day, you get to a certain age, you have to provide. So his art went on the back burner, and it became a hobby, and then he had to go and work and provide for the family. So he couldn't pursue his art as much as he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And me becoming an artist and being able to travel the world, I got to see places that my grandpa used to show me on TV shows and magazines.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it all made sense to me later because I was just like, yo, this is an honor to become an artist like my grandpa wanted to be, and to be able to see the places my grandpa always wanted to explore or witness and just experience. You know what I mean? It all came together later in my life.
Yeah. That early exposure was like, it sounds like that early exposure was like super key, like just in showing you that like, hey, these places exist, like you can get out here, like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
oh man.
It's an amazing feeling, man. You know, really
And
cool.
I read somewhere that you also kind of wanted to embody that like Anthony Bourdain kind of feel in terms of like being real heavy on like friendships and relationships in these different places, not just the sightseeing. And I think it's so cool to be able to live that kind of life off the strength of your art. And I'm curious if like what are some non-creative traits that people should have in order to like maintain that kind of lifestyle? If they want to live that kind of life, as an artist, of course you need to develop your craft, do your thing, but what are some things outside of the canvas and the pencil and the paper that they should have?
Be approachable, man. You be able to connect with people. Other through your art, you got to be able to chop it up with people and just be able to relate on like a normal level, and smile and be nice, because being an artist as long as I have, like, how they say you never meet your heroes. Luckily, I haven't had too many of those, but there are times where I'm like, I'm not gonna say any names, but like I would respect, or I would like someone's work a lot, and then when I finally meet the person, within like 2 seconds, I was like, man, that guy's a fucking dick. Like, no,
Mm,
like I liked his work so much for so long, and it just took 2 seconds of meeting this dude, like, I mean, to not like his work. You know what I mean?
yeah, it
So
definitely sours it.
yeah, totally. So for me, um, yeah, and it worked for me from the beginning too. Like when I first started doing shows, people would hit me up and be like, "Oh yeah, if you can send your work here and blah blah blah," and I was doing that. But when I started to figure out that if I travel there out of my own pocket, even don't even have to get flown out, if I make some side money and be able to go to the shows and chop it up with the people at the shows and be there in person, that's how you make more connections because people see the art on the wall. And I mean, we talked about it earlier. Once they see your personality and see what you're about, and they're like, yo, I like that person. It'd be cool to work with that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's like, especially in the line of work we do, that's like half of it, you know. Hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So then how
Because
did
that should
you
have bite you in the ass, man. That should have bite you in the ass if you're like a dick to an artist. Because I've
it's
seen that in person, where
yeah.
someone, when, like, for example, again, I ain't gonna name any names, but I remember I went to the show and I was like, damn, this guy is super sick. And I was with another artist that's pretty well known, and he was with me, and he went to this person and it was just like, hey man, I love your work, blah blah blah. And the guy snapped at him. He was like, man, fuck you. Like, I remember you when I was like a little teenage kid and I approached you at one of your shows and you were really rude to me.
Mm,
You know what I mean? That shit came back to him years later after this young kid became a good artist, like a situated artist. This guy
mm,
comes up and gives him a compliment, and he's like, "Nah, man, I'm gonna
mm.
have my moment, and
Yeah.
I get to tell you off now." You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, oh, you wanna talk nice now? Nuh-uh. And that's why it's
Exactly.
important to be nice to people at every stage. 'Cause you never know who that person is. You'll never know who that person's gonna be, you know.
For
So
sure, man.
it's super important. That's a definitely a key skill. Is like,
Totally. I don't get that when artists get so big, or they think they get so big, they get on their high pedestal and they're like rude to the up and coming artists. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
why you have to do that? You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for you to be that way when you already pay your dues. You're already up there. This guy is no threat to you. Like, you should be encouraging, dude. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think sometimes people kind of rely on the ability to look down on others to feel like higher or like whole within themselves. Like, I think that's where I honestly think that's where a lot of gatekeeping comes from, because I feel like people feel as if they're only as good as their secrets. They're only as good as their, secret sauce that they use in whatever uh mural or whatever painting. And the whole thing is like, if you have to rely on that thing, you're only ever as good as that thing, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you're giving all of your power to that one little secret, and then it comes out, and you know it's like that. If you saw that Spider-Man movie, where I forget exactly which one, but it was when he was like with Iron Man a whole lot in it, and he's like, he took his suit away and he was like,
Yep.
if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it, something like that. And
Number two, right? I think that was number two.
think so, think so.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the thing, it's not about the tools, because I know artists who give their whole process. They let all the materials out. This is what I use. This is where I get it from. This is how I put it down.
Exactly.
And then you go and you get all that stuff. You go home and you try it, and it's still not as cold as the person that did it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so,
For
yeah,
sure.
man, I don't know, it definitely should come from within. Even with ideas and stuff. I used to be pretty locked tight on like ideas I had. I want to hold them
Mm,
close, and I don't want anybody to steal it. But there's like a realization of like, okay, if I thought of this idea, I could think of another one too. And I don't want people to steal my ideas, but if they do, I can just make something else. That's like the
for
beauty
sure.
of being the creator. You know.
Yeah, totally. I've shared everything that I could, because that's how artists above me or people that I learned from and mentored me, they were open to share it to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said too, like, you can teach them all you want and show them your technique, but when you try to see them execute it, sometimes it's just not the same for them. You know what I mean?
Yep. Because it's not just the material; it's that the practice, the focus, just that experience
Exactly.
too.
That's why I love
So
Detour, man. Detour be
Oh
sharing
yeah.
all his shit, man. Shout out to Detour, man. That's the homie right there.
Super cool guy, and
Mad
he does his
informative. Yeah.
videos every Tuesday and letting you know something.
I still see videos that come up and be like, oh shit, that's what he uses. Oh damn, that's dope. I need to try that. You know what I mean?
hmm So then, going back to your upbringing, so you're starting to get into these mediums, into these fields, and how did it start to form a career? Like, what were the first kinds of endeavors that you took on that you found to
And
be
that wasn't
fruitful?
until years later, like in my 30s, for sure.
Mm.
Um, yeah, like drawing's always been my thing. And even back in the day, like when I was like, preteens and stuff, my dad used to get mad at me because all I wanted to do was draw. He would get so mad that he'd be like, get outside and get dirty. You know what I mean? Go get in trouble. Like I just be in my room with some music bumping and I just be drawing all day.
Mhm.
And then, you know, later in high school life when I got into graph, they didn't like that. So,
Um,
and then, fast forward until like late 90s getting arrested for graph. So there was always a
mm,
stigma with my parents, like it led my drawing led into that. And then to them, all they see is vandalism, which is funny because they could never take that away from me because it ended up becoming part of my career. You know what I mean?
right.
And it was even that, even when years after when I got recognized for it as being a career, it wasn't until I showed up in like publications, the local newspaper, and in print, you know what I mean? Like my parents started seeing like, oh shit, like this is his career. Like this is what he's
Mhm.
gonna be doing. The main thing for them was I didn't have medical and all that other stuff that comes with work, you know what I mean? So I had to figure
Oh
all that
yeah,
out later.
got the
But
insurance and stuff.
yeah, I mean later in life, I mean, once once I was featured on, especially featured on Hawaii 5 that's when my parents were like hella proud. You know what I mean? Like my son was on that show, and like it's cool. Like they start bragging to their friends and their aunties and stuff. When before they would just yell at me about the stuff I did.
Isn't that interesting to see how something that used to get you in trouble is also like the source of praise? And it makes you think like, or it kind of helped me realize that your parents really just be wanting you to be okay. A lot of times, like
Yeah,
they don't really care
for
what you
sure.
get into. They're just like, as long as you're like staying out of trouble, getting money, living,
Totally.
you cool.
They
So
want to
funny.
know that they did a good job. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm. But what were the things that but what were some of the I guess I'm looking more for like were there things that you like did you start selling paintings to people, or was it like one person that kind of just found you and gave you an opportunity, or what did you find to start getting you some traction?
Well, that happened like I mean, yeah, so I did go to I was like right I graduated in 95, hella long ago, but I never went to college right after, like right away. You know?
Mhm.
It wasn't until like 97 where all the homies that I kicked it with was like, hey, we should go to school.
Mhm.
we so we're like, okay, so we all decided to go to the same community college. But you take all the homies from the different side of the islands and we all go back to school at college in the one place. It becomes high school again.
Mm.
So all you're doing is all we were doing was freestyling in the courtyard, practicing dancing and trying to holler at chicks the whole time. We weren't even focused on the curriculum. And
Mhm.
even for me, like I wanted to go because I wanted to get into film. I wanted to become a cinematographer. And I didn't end up going to my class, my prereqs for that. I fell in love with my ceramics class because
Mm.
it was a creative spot, and and even then I would get in trouble because I wasn't doing the curriculum. I would just go in there and use the tools to make my own shit. You know what I
You
mean?
know,
Like
whatever you wanted.
the the teacher was like, "Yo, Martin, you're really good, but you don't follow my curriculum. You just come in here and build your own stuff." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when that happened, I ended up getting in this crazy car accident back in '98, like near death kind of experience.
Mm.
They had to like put me out of the car, and it was a head-on collision, and it put me in a wheelchair for a year.
Dang.
And I was paralyzed on my left side of my body. So I had lost control of my left arm and left leg.
Oof.
So that's when, and at this point, I wasn't even really doing graft too much. But after, fast forward through going through therapy and getting out of, I was in the hospital for a month. And now I lost my apartment. I lost my car. Now I'm back at home in my parents' home,
Mm-hmm.
and they're taking care of me. And the one thing that I did get into was, for the first time, was acrylic painting. So I was like, it was my therapy. I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna teach myself how to paint. So then I started painting in my room, and then started figuring out like, oh shit, this is dope. I kind of like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then for a year, like going through therapy, learning how to walk again, and getting healed up and stuff. Um, I just didn't feel like going back to school anymore. I just didn't. I felt like I lost everything because I was paying for school for myself. I had my own apartment, crashed my car, and then when I got out of it, um, my pops told me to come back and work for him. He was like the manager at a warehouse where we would do like shipping, receiving, and building crates for people that were moving,
Mm-hmm.
and driving forklift and stuff. So went back there, and I started working with my pops. Like maybe a month or 2 months in, I remember this dude rolled up on me and was like, "Hey Martin, how old are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm 23." And he's like, "I started here." And dude is like 60. So I was just like, "Oh hell no, I'm not gonna be staying.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not gonna
wanna.
be staying here that long. Fuck that."
Mm-hmm.
So then my homie in Seattle, who was my DJ from my hip hop crew, he had moved to Seattle. He's like, "Why don't you move to Seattle? Like, take a time off the island, like we'll work on an album, listen to beats, do some shows, or go see shows. Like you'll like it." So I took like $500, moved to Seattle, and then it opened up my mind because you know at that time Hawaii was like 4 or 5 years behind because the internet was just coming into play.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we didn't really have that channel to use. So going to Seattle, I started noticing Hawaii was like 4 or 5 years behind. And the city promoted all kinds of art. So like whether it be corporate art, graffiti that was everywhere, um, and I started meeting people from like Burning Man and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I met all these weirdos. You know what I mean? And to me, this became my college years because I started kicking it with these weirdos. And like it opened up my head. So I was just like, oh shit, I'm gonna get back into graph, like start bombing and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So then the city opened me up, and I started painting. I started fucking with spray paint again. I was doing sculptures with wires. I was back in ceramics, fucking around with oil. And I didn't really spend money. I didn't collect shit before. So I just, I worked as a sauce chef. I worked at a noodle bar, and I made broths and stuff like that for like this Asian noodle bar. And all I did was buy art supplies, stay in my room, experimented on a bunch of hallucinogens and pills and shit, and that's all
Mm-hmm.
I did. And listen to good hip hop, you know what I mean? And I started stacking all this artwork up. from projects that I did on my own. So there was like 2 years of that, and then the job being working for under a chef. I love to cook too. I fucking love cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up cooking, and um, I didn't know what it was like to work in the kitchen for a real true kitchen. And to get yelled at the chef from the chef for 15 hours. And then at the end of the night, they're like, "Good work, Martin. Like, I'll see you tomorrow." I'm like, "Fool, you just fucking yelled at me all day." You know what I mean? Like, so after maybe about a year of working there, I just kind of stacked my chips during that whole time, and I was just like, "I'm just gonna live off my savings." So that's when I got totally engulfed in Seattle. Started going to a lot of hip hop shows, desert parties, getting into more painting, going to graph spots, and then my money started running out, and my mom's was like, "You want to come home to Hawaii?" And she's like, "I'll pay for your ticket." I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, but I'm just gonna come home to visit. I don't want to move. Because I was so engulfed by the culture that I was going through in Seattle, and I wanted to explore that more." So I took all my art with me in a suitcase,
Mm-hmm.
stacked them all up because I wanted to share with my family and my friends. And then when I got home, an old school homie of mine, this guy named Hisham, this Egyptian dude, he was a hip hop photographer. He shot everybody from like Wu Tang, Far Side, like a bunch of people from like that would come to Hawaii to do shows. He was doing an art show and he had an open call. So he was just like, "Hey, I want to throw this art show. If you guys got art, bring them down and I'll look at it and see if you guys can be part of the show." So he knew me as Timer, which was my old school name.
Mm-hmm.
So I show up to his door and I call him first and I'm like, "Hey, I got some art that I want to show you. I would love to rock this art show with you." He's like, "Yeah, come down to the studio." He's like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Oh, Aaron Martin." He's like, "Okay, come over, Aaron." He didn't know me as Aaron. He knew me as Timer. So I knock on his door. He opens it up and he's like, "Timer, what the fuck? Like, what are you? You're here." He's like, "Where you been?" I was like, "I've been living in Seattle and I'm like into art and stuff. I like to create stuff." So fast forward, I show my art. He puts me in this crazy group show, which was the first of its kind in Hawaii, and it was a success. Like people were tripping because years before that, they knew me as an MC, you know, rocking a mic on like college radio and opening for cats and stuff. And I did this whole wall with my art, and it looked like the wall looked like it was done by a classroom of people because I had so many different styles up there. I had stuffed animals that I had sewn. I did a light box with like wire sculptures. I did watercolor paintings, acrylics. I did graphite drawings. So this whole wall was all my art, but it looked like different artists had submitted pieces for it.
Mm. And a whole show by
But
yourself.
yeah, I mean there was other people in the show, but we all had one wall to decorate, and that was my wall.
Yeah.
And I got such good feedback. People were like, "Wow, man, I didn't know you were into this kind of stuff now." Because a lot of people, a lot of friends came through that haven't, they didn't know I was back on the island or whatever, and they came to the show, and they're just so fascinated and stoked by it. So then, you know, uh, the day after the show, this DJ rolled through, and he saw my art, he saw my wall, and that dude bought like 80% of the wall. He's like, because the pieces were only like 40, $50. The most expensive piece was probably like $150. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he called me up. He's like, "Yo, I want this one, this one, and this one, and this one." And I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I'm down." You know what I mean? It was the first time I ever sold art.
Mm.
So I was super stoked. And that kind of locked me in because I put, I'm thinking like, damn, Hawaii's so behind. I'm kind of ahead of the curve here from my experience being on the mainland. Maybe I'll work Hawaii for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then of course, I was still rhyming and stuff, so I kind of got into slam poetry for a bit. So I was going to these slam poetry events, and I started to not like it because a lot of people got too political, which is cool. You can be political as fuck if you want, but these are some of the homies that were getting into it. You know, like I see them partying the weekend before, playing bitches, and like just playing girls and like partying up, and then all of a sudden, then next weekend, I see them
Mm.
up on stage talking about George Bush, and I'm like, dude, like, where are you
Right.
standing in this? Like, you don't. There's no like, there's no line. I see Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde here. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it
you
doesn't
like
make sense. So I didn't really. When I saw that fakery, I was kind of like, oh man, like I wasn't that into it anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore. But my homie that threw it was like, knew me up because of my art. So he's like, hey, would you love to do live art here? And I'd be like, dude, I would love to paint here. You know what I mean? So I would paint once a month there for their championship because it was a battle, like a slam poetry battle, and I would be the visual entertainment. So I'd be painting live the whole time.
Mhm.
And this one time, man, and this is where the story hits. I was working at then I was working as a barista at Borders. I had sketched uh, a grizzly bear, and I wanted to paint it live. So I go to my event. A friend of mine was supposed to bring most of my paint. All I had was like a little tray of like acrylics and two cans, a gallon of black and a gallon of white. So I have my sketch down. My homie hasn't showed up. It's been like 2 hours already, and I'm like, dude, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, I already had sketched this grizzly bear on this. It was two doors, but I used to buy two doors from Home Depot and then put them together and then attach them on the back with brackets. So it became one big wooden piece. Because two doors is like, one door is like $35.
Mhm.
You put them together, you have a giant canvas rather than paying $200 for a giant canvas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's a nice little
um,
hack.
yeah, totally. So I didn't know what to do. And I was just like, yo, I think I'm going to change this grizzly bear into a panda bear. So then I took the black and white and I fucking made him into a panda. And of course, he's growling. So I paint that whole night. And this guy comes up to me. He's like a realtor or whatever. He's like, what are you going to do with that panda? And I'm like, I don't know, probably give it to a homie or hang it in my mom's garage. He's like, let me buy that off you. And, like, this is live painting. So back then, I didn't know how to paint to a point where it would dry quickly. You know what I mean? Now I could like do a painting at an event and it'll be dry and ready to go. It was still like thick and like caked on, and so I was just like,
You gotta have to come get it
yeah, but let
tomorrow.
me, yeah, I was like, yo, if you let me take it home, I'll clean it up and you can like come pick it up. So he's like, okay, cool. So I sold it for $300, which was amazing for me to do a live piece for like 3 hours and get paid for paid $300 for it.
Right.
And then so I would go back and paint other things because this was pretty much the birth of the panda bear. So that was the first time I ever painted a panda bear.
Mm.
So I would go back to these slam poetry nights and someone would come up and be like, yo, you paint that weird angry panda? And I'm like, yeah, I did that like a couple months ago. They're like, do you think I can do a commission? Do you do commissions? Like, I would love to have one of those hanging in my house. So that would happen often. Even when I was working at Borders, like people would come up in the cafe and be like, hey, you're the guy that painted that weird panda. I was like, yeah, yeah. He's like, "Dude, I would love to have one. Do you paint a lot of those?" And I'm like, no, not really. Because at that point I was painting all kinds of shit. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so I started painting them, man, and started slanging them like
Mhm.
out my apartment. Like people would just hit me up and be like, yeah, sure. And it was like was like slanging drugs, man. I'd be like, yo, meet me at the Starbucks on this corner, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And I'd pull it out my trunk and give it to him and stuff. And then I was also working at a sneaker store then. So they decided to do my first solo. They're like, yo, let's do a solo show one night at the shop. And it was in conjunction with two other streetwear companies in Hawaii, Fitted and Information. It was going to be at the Kicks sneaker store. So I had to get ready for that. So what I did is I painted, it was an experiment to me. I was like, I'm going to paint a bunch of pandas. So I painted like maybe 90 pandas.
Sheesh.
Simple style too. I used to paint with these like sponge brushes. Like they're real rough, man, when you look at them. And then I sewed like maybe 12 stuffed animals. I had a couple wire sculptures, and then I also painted on women's apparel. Like my homie was a cut and sew dude. So he would make these denim pieces and I would paint on them. So that night, it was crazy. I ended up selling almost everything in the show. All the pandas sold out. The stuffed animals sold out. I think what was left was like the apparel, like some of the apparel. But
Mhm.
that kind of like lit a light bulb in my head where I was just like, I felt my pocket, and it was like a swap meet, so you could buy it and pull it right off the fucking wall and take it.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So throughout the night, I started seeing everything was coming off the walls. You know what I mean? $50 here, $35 here, and my girl at the time was like, oh, "How much did you make?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I felt my pocket, and I was like, "Dude, there's a big roll in here."
I
I
know
was
that's
just
nice. I
like,
know that was nice.
so then at the end of the night, I counted my money, and it wasn't that much. It was like $1,800, and I was just like, "Yo, I made $1,800 with this show." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then Information had a dope toy store, and I just remember that next day I was eyeballing the original Cause airbrick, which was a black and gray monotone one, and it was sitting in the shop, and I was like, if I sell good on the show, I'm gonna walk in that store, I'm gonna buy that piece. And that time, $350 for a toy was ridiculous. You don't spend that much on a toy. But I walked in there and I put my money down. I was like, I want that guy right there. And like I ended up getting, and I still got it. I still got it. It's beat up now, but that was the first cause toy I bought. And from there on, man, that's what sparked it. Like selling that show and the show before, and then Information ended up having, this is not far apart either. Information is this streetwear store in Hawaii that's been lasting forever. They've been around for since 2002, I think. But they had a fellow friend that had gotten cancer, so they were doing a benefit show. His name was Nalu Boggs, and the homies that put it together um, knew everybody from the streetwear scene. So they were like, "We want you in the show. We want you to represent Hawaii in the show." I was like, "Okay, cool, dope." And then they're like, "These are the people that's in the show," and they showed me the roster. And when I saw the roster, I was like, "Ah, nah, I can't be in this show."
Mm.
So in the show was Future 2000, Hayes, David Cho, Invisible Man, Des Enswell,
Mm.
Andy Howe. It's like all these OGs that I collect magazines of because I can't buy their art, but I buy their magazine because their art's in the magazines and books.
Yeah.
And I was just like bugged out, like, oh man, I can't do this show. These guys paid their dues. Like
Mhm.
I'm just like I'm barely 2-3 years into my so-called career, and you want me to rock this show with these guys, these giants.
Mhm.
The homie is like, dude, we're in Hawaii. You're who we got, and we love your art, and you got to represent. You got to step up.
Mm.
So I rocked it. We all painted on surfboards, and what I did is I know I had to go extra because These are like heavyweights. I couldn't just try to paint on a surfboard. So I took a surfboard and I constructed it into a kayak. And
Mm.
then I sewed, I used digital camo had just came out. It looked fresh as fuck. So I took digital camo and I wrapped the whole. So basically, I took this surfboard, then I made framework so it was thick like a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrapped it with the digital camo so it looked like a kayak. And then
Okay.
it had I built a seat in it. I made a stuffed animal to go with the kayak.
Mm.
And at the time, I made remote control dunks. So I would take, because I worked at the sneaker store and I would customize dunk lows and Air Force Ones. So what I would do is cut up these shoes and I would break apart tanks. It was pretty much what kit bashing is. And I would take the tank and mount it together with the shoe and then paint it to look like an army tank. So the
Interesting.
kayak came with a utility vehicle with the stuffed animal that sat inside of a kayak. So people were like, "Whoa, what the fuck? Like, holy shit! Like, this is you." I was like, "Well, I had to like do something different instead of paint." You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
this dude from Italy ended up buying it. But that show pretty much kind of solidified it, where I'm like, okay, well, I'm really gonna do this, you know.
Mm. There's
And
so
then from
many.
there on,
Oh, go for it.
yeah, from there on, information um was like, dude, we need to get you some shows. You need to do some shows in LA. You need to do some shows in New York, wherever we can get. So they were like making, connecting the dots. And I started getting contacted via MySpace um, from galleries in Montreal, and San Francisco, and LA. And I started sending my artwork out. And that's how I started my career, man. That's how I started connecting with people. And of course, being on MySpace early days before it was even street art. I was meeting artists online and connecting with them, and they were getting me in shows and stuff too. So I started building community through early social media. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were you which websites in particular was it like? Is this like Facebook or like further further forward, further back?
It was right before Facebook. It was MySpace.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Man, there's so many questions that I have for this.
yeah,
As I
yeah.
was
Go
listening
ahead,
to
man.
you, like as I was listening to you explain the different um just the whole story, there were so many times where you had to step to the plate, where there was so many times you could have like just let it kind of wash over, or you can kind of just turn your head, but you decided to like lean into it. And were there any troubles that you had with that? Because each one was usually preceded by a, man, I don't know if I can do this one, or I don't know if I should. And then like you kind of made a switch mentally. Like what helped you do that?
Homies,
Mm,
like, nah, you can do it. You know what I mean? Like, it was that kind of mentality. And in early on, like for me, I was just like not as I guess confident with my work. You
mhm.
know what I mean? But then just from people hitting me up and be like, I would ask you, should I do the show? And they're like, of course you should do the show. You know what I mean? Because I've been following Futura since the 80s. You know what I mean? Since he was in spray can art. So when I saw his name on the list, I was just like, there is no way I'm being asked right now to do a show with this dude. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
was in second grade. I was in second grade when I first saw his shit. And like, now you're gonna telling me to do a show with them? Like, this is crazy.
Mhm. And
So just like the my homies that I was surrounded by and being encouraged by. Also, there's some OGs that I met through the homies in Hawaii, and that was information. And early on, David Cho was another guy. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was coming to the island, like I used to hang out with David Cho, and just how he was being open and stuff. Then this is before, this is David Cho, like Upper Playground David Cho and Giant Robot David Cho. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he would come to the island. He was just mad cool, so I'd take him around and stuff, and just being able to chop it up with him. And shout out to my homeboy. Andy Howell.
Not familiar.
Andy Howell is a painter. He was part of Beautiful Losers. He's originally from Atlanta. He shared a studio with Little John and Dallas Austin.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that was his squad. And Andy Howell was a really influential, famous skateboarder from New Deal. So he came out of Atlanta, and he was one of the guys I met through information. He came to Hawaii, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to paint. I'm down to paint. You guys know anyone that's down to paint?" So of course, they would call me, and then I got to meet with Andy Howell and ended up collabing with him. And then later on, I did a 2-man show in Hawaii with Andy Howell. He's been a really cool homie and a mentor from day one. And being able to like engulf my art and my personalities and culture with these cats, like it definitely gave me a push.
Yeah, for sure. Like you are the company you keep a lot of
Sure.
times.
Yep, definitely.
Man. And then it seems also like there's a degree of like open-mindedness you need to have as well, because you can have people around you and they can be saying whatever they want to say, but at the end of the day, like you're the one that still has to like make the change or the move or whatever,
Oh yeah.
and so
A big help was these guys were already in the community, so information had already known artists and people in the streetwear import scene, hip hop scene. And shout out to my homeboy Ian, who ran Kicks Hawaii and St. Alfred's in Chicago. He was the guy that I would chop it up with, because I had moved from Seattle, and a lot of the artists and art that I knew about, people didn't really know about them in Hawaii. You know what I mean? But Ian from Kicks, I could go to his shop and chop it up with him, and he knew some of these artists, so that was a push too. Like I had a direct connection, and that was inspirational already. And on top of that, I was a beginner sneakerhead. I was getting into sneakers, and the owner of this sneaker store opened up his doors to me, and we got to chop it up about art, and that definitely inspired me.
Man, such great like sources of inspiration, such good people to like be around, like it's incredible.
Oh yeah,
And
sure.
so also with the show that you did, the first
show?
solo show you did.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even that one too. So like the group show where you brought all of the work from Seattle and you showed it off. Then like the next show where you painted the 90 pandas, and then the next show where you were with all the heavy hitters, like you were able to like, it seems like you knew just how much gas you needed, like you needed to like you knew how hard to go, and it's not, I don't know if you knew beforehand like, hey, this'll be enough, but
Nah,
it was like
it took me, I was just hungry.
Yeah, and I guess that's like the source of my question too, in terms of how do you one up yourself like that? Like if you know you're going this direction and if you're already hungry, you're probably like you're trying to hit home runs every time anyway. And so like
Oh yeah.
how do you know when to like, okay, I'm about to send the whole freaking spirit bomb with it. Like, how would one level up themselves? And if they have a big opportunity and it's like it's go time, it's now or never, it's I gotta bring everything. How would one where should someone go mentally to kind of get that out of themselves?
I knew that these guys are all giants, so what I did is I applied all my talents and everything that I had started learning in Seattle, and even stuff from my mom taught me how to sew. So I was like, if I'm gonna do the show, I'm gonna have to bring everything out of my toolbox. And so I was like, I'm gonna sew the skin onto this surfboard, and I'm gonna build this surfboard to look like a kayak. And then I'm gonna build. These are all separate entities of my artwork. So I was just like, I'm also gonna make this stuffed animal. I'm gonna make this utility vehicle that comes with the kayak. And when you unzip the kayak, because you can unzip the skin and open it, I
Mhm.
painted a panda on the surfboard.
Oh, dang. That's
So
crazy.
there was all elements of my artwork was part of that piece.
Hmm. It's like it's just pulling from all the I guess literally the definition of um pulling all the stops. Like everything
Yeah,
you got, just letting it all just flow. Hmm. So I have a show coming up, not anytime soon. It's like late next year, but I know that I have a pretty big space to do it in, and
yeah.
it's a really nice opportunity, and I really want to show my work in a way that is one encompassing of who I am, and also something that is accessible to people. Like I want to do it in such a way where not everybody's just pulling up and just looking, oh, this is so cool, and then they just go home. Like how at your show, people were like wanting, they're like pulling the stuff off the wall, and they're like, I want this to come home with me. I feel that connected to this piece of art. I feel that connected to this artist, and so um, was there anything that you did for your work that you feel helped you in terms of being able to connect with the people that came to your shows?
Well, for me, it kind of just went hand in hand with the community because it's Hawaii and the community's small, and a lot of people go to the same events.
Mhm,
So these are people that knew me as an MC for a long time. And now they're like, oh, here's an art show? Like, I need to see what this is about. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm,
So then they would come and be like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool, that you're into this kind of stuff. So it was kind of just like more like family, coming to see me do my thing.
mhm. It feels almost like whenever you have different areas that you make work in or that you like practice in, each one that you're in, like you're a novelty for all the other things. Like as an MC, you're like one of the very few MCs that does art too. Or like as an artist, you're one of the few artists that MCs as well. And like you get to kind of reap that benefit with all the different like spaces. You
Mm,
know what I mean? And then on top of that, you're able to pull from that whenever you're making your artwork. So it makes for like a real nice combo of like making varied work and like a bunch of mixed media. Because some people all they know how to do is paint. There's nothing
yeah.
wrong with that, but it's like you're able to bring like another level of variety, where people can be like, I don't know if he's gonna bring a stuffed animal. I don't know if he's gonna like bring a sculpture. I don't know if it's gonna be a bunch of paintings. I have no idea. It
Yeah.
might be
Yeah.
everything. And I think that's really, really cool being able to pull from from those different like areas too. And it seems like with what you were saying, it felt like family because it's like it's people that are supportive in another area, and then they just come through
Yeah,
and
they came and
see what
support
you
me for
learn.
this. To me, like writing and building a story, it's like painting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just expressing it in a different way. You know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when so as you're starting to get some of the like your career is starting to take off, you're getting bigger, better opportunities. When did you decide to really like dive into like let me try to rephrase my question a little bit. Um Whenever you did that show, were you still working another job at that point?
But yeah, man, I worked 3 jobs.
Okay.
I was
So mhm,
I was working at Pix Hawaii, and then early on, I pretty much worked for sneakers. So,
mhm,
like what I would
oh,
make
that's
there, I
right.
would get sneakers
Mhm,
and get my gear or whatever. And then I worked at a barista as a barista at Borders Books,
right.
and then I also worked at this other coffee shop called Chemo Beans, which was in Waikiki and at a hotel.
Okay.
So when I was preparing for the show, I'd basically have maybe 3 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to work when I got home at night.
Mhm,
So I'd work for the like those 2 or 3 hours and then go to sleep and then wake up and go to work again. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And slowly, when I started getting more opportunities and people started hitting me up for work, I started to like chop off work. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I think I can quit this job. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then slowly, I just got rid of all my jobs.
And so my question from that is when what kind of things were happening where you were able to like you felt comfortable enough to start like dropping jobs off because the shows are really good, but it's like that one show or like maybe if it is something constant it's usually like maybe a couple times a year. But
Yeah,
what types of things were you getting frequently to be able to like okay, I think I don't have to keep coming here anymore.
live art, and I was making pieces, and again, I was selling them for cheap, like $50 here, 50, $80 here,
Hmm.
and I was slanging them off of MySpace.
Hmm.
And on top of that, I also was selling costumes. So I used to make Ewok costumes.
Really
Yeah, so
interesting.
so I made an Ewok costume in '03 for my ex and I, and yeah, we wore it for Halloween and stuff. And when people saw that, because they already knew I was an artist, they're like, "Where'd you get that?" I was like, "I made it." And they're just
Hmm.
like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I made this shit." So then people started hitting me up, and they're like, "Dude, could you make me one?" So I started making that too, and started signing them out to people.
Mm.
So I
Dang.
just started, yeah, slanging art like regular, like through the internet
Hmm.
contacts and stuff.
And is there something that you kind of know whenever you're able to like lean in on a particular thing? Like when people started asking you for the pandas, did it get to a point where you just started like making them just because you expected somebody to kind of buy them, or were you just kind of taking them in as people were asking?
I was taking them in, but at the same time, I was kind of getting annoyed a little bit too because I could paint other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it wasn't until I started getting international people hitting me up, and then because of the pandas, and then when I started traveling because of the pandas, then I was like, okay, maybe I could keep painting these guys a little bit, because I was just
Mhm.
like, I want to see the world. You know, if I can go and see the world, I'll keep painting them.
Mhm.
And then, of course, like, I would do interviews or whatever, and then people would ask me, like, how does it connect to me, or culturally, like, how does it like represent you or whatever. So I had to like figure shit out that way. I couldn't just paint them because people gravitated to an angry panda,
Mhm.
which was basically an angry grizzly bear or the panda colorway. That's why they're growling, because pandas don't do that shit. So when I started aligning myself with the facts about a panda, meaning like they were on the endangered species list, they're not going to be here that long. So I applied that to my travels. I was like, yo, if they're dying out, and I'm going to put them everywhere I go, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whether it was going to Thailand or Berlin or wherever, I was going to leave a panda there, and it was kind of like my thing where I'm like, oh, dude, I'm going to repopulate this world with pandas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
became part of it.
Interesting. I was gonna ask if you ever got to a point where you like got tired of it, like, man, I wish people would ask me to paint something else, or like, you
Definitely.
ever-
I've gone through that. I've gone through one trick pony and all that shit, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But like I said before, like to me a lot of that didn't phase me because I was so focused on traveling and using it as a vessel to like explore and experience cultures that I just kept going with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause I've been around the planet more than I ever thought I would be, I mean, my one of my big bucket list goals was to fill up a passport, and I did that. You know what I mean?
Dang, man.
And I don't think they even stamp passports anymore. I think they started doing digital passports.
Um, I do have, yeah, they still stamp. I just got mine like, well, I don't know, like I got mine in like May, and I went somewhere in
Because I had a
like
homie
July.
that just went somewhere, and he goes, "Fuck, I didn't even get a stamp." And I was like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, they.
Mhm.
I don't know what they did, but I didn't get an actual stamp."
Hmm. Maybe it depends on like where
I don't
you're
know. I
going.
hope that don't change because I'm proud of my shit. I love having that book. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
front to back, it's crazy.
What was that first trip that you took that was like eye opening or like whoa for you?
Probably my first trip, and it was with this gallery called Intoxicated Demons in Berlin. Um, so a year prior, this guy had hit me up. This guy named Marco. Shout out to Marco. Um, he liked my work, and he's like, "Hey, I would love for you to be in my show. Would you be willing to ship a painting to me?" And this is through MySpace. And I remember, I didn't do any international shows then. So in my head, I was like, "Oh fuck that! I ain't gonna send him my work. He's gonna steal my shit." You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I was like, send it all the way to Germany? Like, oh hell no. So I kind of like ignored him,
Mhm.
and he just kept on asking me and asking me. And then I started doing my research, and I was like, okay, this is a legit gallery. So then I hit him back, and I was like, you know what, man? Um, I'm down to do the show. But if I fly myself out there, can you give me a place to stay and I'll rock the show? And he's like, bet, let's do it. So I was like,
Mm.
oh, what? So out of my own pocket, like I was talking about it before, like I just paid for my trip out there. And Berlin blew me away, man. This is during the age where like the states out here in the US, there was no murals up. You know what I mean? There was no mural community. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And Berlin was covered. It was covered. And
Mhm.
everywhere had art, you know what I mean? And I was just like, yo, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up doing a show with Pixel Poncho, a bunch of other cats, and I later found out these are all old school graph writers, and I stopped doing graph probably in like 99, 2000 or something, and they're like, yo, you can't come all the way to Berlin. And we heard that you used to do graph. You can't come all the way to Berlin and not go bombing with us, And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I kind of already had kind of like a you know, a stigma about it because I got arrested and shit. So I was just like, damn, getting arrested in Berlin would be even more fucked up. You know what I mean?
Bruh.
So then we ended up going out and it wasn't anything serious. Caught tags, did some characters out there. And yeah, we ended up getting chased by the graffiti squad. And, and
What
like
happened?
I was like 60 pounds heavier, man. And it's all on video too. So I had to run. It was like that scene from Juice when everyone's running through the
uh,
stairwells and stuff like that. I was doing all that with my heavyweight ass, and I can hear them laughing in the distance because they're all skinny dudes. You can hear me breathing hella hard on camera too, like I'm trying to run. But that was an eye-opening trip because they also took me painting, and this place called Yams Beach up in Berlin. They had you can go there and paint, and this is the first time using like Montana. Like before, I used to paint with like Rusto and Krylon or whatever. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? Like heavy pressure paint. So when I was introduced to Montana paint and the soft pressure and the caps, I was just like, yo, this stuff is butter. Like, what is this? You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
painting in Berlin and, you know, painting with these guys that inspired me. I went back home with a whole different focus and I was just like, damn, I need to start painting with spray can again. You know what I mean? And that's how I got back into it.
Mm. That's so real. Like whenever you come back from somewhere, especially like the further you go out, usually like the smaller regular problems feel when you get back home. It's like you just kind of see the world in like just a different scale, if that makes sense. It's like stuff just seems
Oh,
like
yeah,
like we're not worried about that. I got bigger fish to catch, out there. Like
for
you sit
sure.
there with the drama or stuff going on in your life, and you're like, but then you remember like Montana paint out in Berlin. Let me get back in the studio. Let me do what I gotta do to to get
Oh,
right.
totally. I was
Mm,
like, yo, this paint is so good. Like, because before we had to like let out gas, in cans. You had to gas them out so they have low pressure. These
mm-hmm.
cans came like ready to go.
Mm. And then what were some did you have any culture shocks out there just in like a lifestyle sense out there?
Lifestyle. Well, the culture shock was that it didn't matter if you're a graph writer, if you're a weed paster, someone that does stickers, whatever. Like people just got up.
Yeah.
In the U.S. at the time, there's always that thing between graph writers and so-called street artists. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can't do. There's rules. I mean, a lot of it has already been. We already been through all that already. But back then, I was tripping because I come from graph, and I was just like, what the hell? And I don't know if this was really him, but when I went to Yams Beach Paint, it was guys with with the poles, and they're sketching like Harakut, like on the walls, and I've
Mhm.
never seen that before, in person. Like seeing someone paint like that with a long pole, and the reason I didn't know if that was a person or not, there was a dude there chipping at the wall with a hammer. It could have been Vils early on, but I'm not
Mm.
sure if that was him or not. But he was doing a portrait with a hammer and chisel. And what was even crazier about this was we were actually painting a piece of the Berlin Wall that was still up. So I was even more bugged out because of that history. I was just like, yo, what the
Yeah.
hell? I'm just surrounded by all these artists painting with all kinds of tools that didn't matter. That's when when I left Berlin, in my head I was like, man, there's no rules. Just go out there and be creative. You know what I mean? Like create.
Mm.
Fuck the bullshit. Fuck people hating on you and doing certain things. Like if you can get it done and being creative about it, then it's all good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man. Yeah. So real. Dang. And what other kind of, out of the many trips you've taken around the planet, were there any other places that hit you pretty heavy like that?
And there's so many, dude, because there's been so many jump offs, that I was really into. Probably, shit, they're all my favorite. I mean, Japan was dope. Going to Japan for the first time, doing a solo show at FTC Skate Shop, where Doze Green did a show, and I remember painting live in a club, and in the middle of the club was a half pipe. So I'm
Mm.
painting. It's a club, and there's people rocking a half pipe, and I was just like, "Yo,
Yeah.
where am I right now? This is insane." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's that, and then Switzerland Vision Art Festival, like Crans Montana, Switzerland. Like getting out there was crazy. I had to take a 4 hour train, but to be in a town called Crans Montana, which is a ski resort town, and painting up on a mountain and looking out, and you're realizing, dude, I'm on the Swiss Alps
Mm.
right now. You know what I mean? And we all, Greg Mike was there. He did that jam too. And
Oh man.
I remember we did our pieces, and they said, okay, so when you're done with your piece, you can take your paint and take the lift up because it's summertime, so there was no skiing. And they're basically like, when you get up on the mountain, any wall up there, you can paint on.
Mm.
It didn't matter. They were so like open to like us just going wild up there. So I was just like, what? And this is like a rich ass town. You see like Bugattis and Lotuses and Lambos. Like these are people's cars just driving around the city. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And shout out to Hebrew Brantley because I ran into his piece up there because he had already gone up there because he's been to the real Art Basel up in Switzerland, and he had already been taken up there, and he had a piece on the wall there. So I was tripping. I was just like, damn, Hebrew's already up here. Like, what the hell? But of course he's up here. But yeah, so got up there and I got to bomb some pandas up there, and yeah, like being on top of the mountain and looking in the distance, and you see the actual Matterhorn mountain, and I was just like, wow, man. The only
Mm.
thing I knew of these mountaintops were like the Ricola commercials from back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the Sound of Music, the movie and shit. So I was just tripping out. That was an amazing trip. And then there's that, and then going to Mongolia for the first time was dope because it was a
Can you tell me
street
like,
art festival.
I think you told me you bought a suit of armor or something when you were there?
No, we put on suits of armor. I was
Oh,
just talking
dang.
about it with my boy Jose. So they took us on this 4 hour drive into the desert, and dude, you feel like you're in Game of Thrones or the original Conan because there's these yurts everywhere, and like they built these little villages and stuff, and it's basically for tourists. But there's not that much tourists out in Mongolia. It's always a small pocket of people, so you feel very like it feels very intimate. You know what I mean? Like you're being like it's like you're part of a National Geographic exploration crew or whatever.
Mhm.
But they had these like yurts, and then you go in these yurts and have a whole setup on how the Mongolians would have their homes. And they would have these armor clothing like on these pedestals and stuff. So then
Mm.
we're in there and we're like, yo, you think we could put this on? So all the homies, we all put on like helmets and armor and stuff, and it was crazy. It was super dope. But we ended up camping out there for like a night. There was no running water. There's no electricity. We sat by a bonfire, listened to like Mongolians play like what do you call it? Like violins and stuff next to the bonfire, and rode camels and horses and shot arrows. Man, it was insane. It was like one of the coolest experiences ever had on a trip. And on top of that, I was at a so-called street art festival in Mongolia, and it was the first one. So people didn't know how to take it. So we painted murals around the city. But the homies that painted with us, like the locals, was like, "Hey, come with us," and like took us around the city, and we basically just bombed in
Mm.
daytime, and people would come out and just be like fascinated by it. There was no, "I'm calling the cops," like bullshit.
That's
And one time, there's a village saw us painting this wall, and they asked us to come to their house and paint on their wall. So we walked into like their neighborhood and started painting on their walls. Like it was insane, man. It was just such a crazy experience.
mm. And
But
do
yeah,
you
I mean,
think
all the trips, going to Thailand, Philippines, all these, they all have little pockets of really cool experiences.
do you think that based on the experiences that you were telling me and just the ways that you got out there, they were always through like a friend or like just like somebody close, like a close coworker or something that you've done work with. And that
Yeah,
brings me to
definitely.
my next like question, that is um the places that you've gone to, you spoke about how those were very influential, but what about in terms of some of the people that you met? Were there any, well, I'm sure there are, like, just people that were super influential or people that you've always wanted to meet that you got to meet? And, guess just wanted to know more about how you form some of these connections and just the types of connections that have influenced you over the years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, from Mongolia, I got connected because when I did my show in Philippines, I met a bunch of artists, graph artists, and they contacted me and they're like, "Yo, there's a street art festival in Mongolia and they really like your art and they want you to be part of the roster." And of course, I'm going to be like, "Oh, hell yeah, I'm going to go." You know what I mean? So I was stoked to go there. And definitely that's what I'm saying, from hopping from place to place, we build a community. And it's always about, like when you travel somewhere, you're like, "Oh man, I have to get a hotel and I have to pay for my ticket and da da da." And but from these experiences, like I'm happy to say that I could hop to a lot of these places, and a lot of these people I've met along the way would open their house to me and be like, "Yo, just come stay with us." You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Come kick it with us. And that yeah, that community is giant, like definitely connecting me to different places. And a really cool one was when I went to New Zealand, and I met one of my heroes, one of my mentors, and I love these people. Chaz Barhaquez, the calligrapher, is a
Mhm.
OG calligrapher from LA. And yeah, I was doing a show. Shout out to my homeboy, my homeboy Pip. He's from New Zealand but uh lives in Cambodia. He's half Cambodian. But basically, we had a two-man show, and he's like, "We have a surprise person in our show." And then I get there, and it's Chaz Barhaquez, an LA legend,
Mhm.
LA graffiti legend. And I was living in LA already at the time. And Chaz was like, "You're from LA?" And I was like, "Well, I'm from Hawaii, but I live in LA." Because Chaz knows all the graph writers from LA, you know what I mean? It's an OG. And from me kicking it with him during that trip, like he just became a mentor and a friend. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And well respected, because this guy learned calligraphy from like one of the teachers who taught the last emperor how to do calligraphy. You know what I mean? In
Dang.
China.
What?
So all
That's
that stuff, all the calligraphy you see nowadays, like a lot of it's responsible because of Chaz. You know what I mean? He's the OG of
interesting.
it.
Interesting. Mm.
So yeah, like he's a LA legend, and being able to get connected to him, and shout out to Christina, his wife, amazing people. Just experiences like that again, like where it blew me away. At the same time, I was just like, and this is where art took me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
meeting people like this, genuine people that were cool as hell.
Mm-hmm. Was there a certain point in your career when you kind of realized the level that you had gotten to, and not in a like a cocky way, but were there any things that happened where you're like, oh, like I guess I'm here now. I'm not like up and coming right now. I'm just kind of here right now.
Um, I guess that's with every trip. Well, I mean, the second time I went to Mongolia, which was cool. Um, when I got to, I guess from that point of view, I would be like when powwow started happening in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm doing all my trips, meeting all these people, painting around the world, and then shout out to Jasper. You know, shout out to
Mm-hmm.
Jasper, Kamea, Grass, all the staff, and the board members of the original powwow. When he started having this mural festival on my home turf on my island, that's when it became a thing, because I would hear about the roster and then I'd be like, no way, he's coming to Hawaii. Like, dude, I met him on my trip. You know what I mean? I started being able to go back to my hometown and reunite with a lot of these people that I met on my travels and my shows and festivals was just an amazing thing. And also a trip for the homies at home, because they're like, oh shit, you know this guy? And I was like, oh yeah, and they could be from Portugal or France or Berlin. I was like reconnecting with friends again, but now I'm on the island.
Mm-hmm.
So once it hit that, I was kind of like, dude, this is kind of cool. This is the community, and I was just blown away by that.
Yeah, it's definitely something cool to be able to cash in times like that, because you it kind of puts in perspective just how much travel and how much work you've been doing when you're like, yo, I've gone here and here and I met these people and these people. And then to see, to see like that one homie in that one place, that's one thing. But then whenever you're back at home and all the people you've met are like all in your spot and you get to see them all at the same time, it's like, oh wow.
Yeah, and share my culture, because like on these trips they share theirs. So I'm
Hmm.
just like, oh man, I got to take you here to go eat, or I have to show you around the island. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
it's my turn. It's my turn to do that.
Yeah,
And that was
man.
cool, because this is Jasper telling me who's coming, and I'm like, oh shit, I met that dude. That guy's sick. He's such a cool guy. Blah blah blah.
Hmm. And were you friends with Jasper before he started doing the mural festivals?
I know he was living in Hong Kong, and he had later on I found out he did the first powwow festival in Hong Kong in his gallery. But yeah, I met Jasper I think '09 or 2010. I was
Mhm.
painting live, and he came up to me, and he introduced himself and stuff. That was the first time I met him. But when he started doing this, like I said before, when I was just like moving back to Hawaii, I was kind of ahead of the curve because, like I had experienced so much on the mainland and I was kind of doing my thing. When Jasper came back to the islands and opened a powwow, that like opened the floodgates. Like it created a community. And now I am amongst my peers and amongst people with the same mindset as me, which was amazing because before that, I didn't really have heads to connect with locally, only through the internet. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
shout out to Jasper, man. He really, really changed everything with the murals and bringing the artists to Hawaii, like building that community.
Yeah. It
Because he
sounds
made a lot of he made a lot of reunions, man, and I was happy about that.
those are super, super cool. I've only met him once. Whenever I went out to Hawaii like a couple years ago, and I think Jack introduced me to him. He seems like a super cool guy, but I only ever talked to him like once for like it was really just like a hey, how you doing? And that's it.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sounds like a super cool guy,
Is that when
from
you
everybody I know.
came for when we are doing Palama settlement
Uh no, 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 no.
caricature
This was
party?
oh yeah, 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 that one. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Oh man, they were tearing folks up out there. They
yeah.
were tearing
that
people
was
up.
that was a fun one, man. I love that couple, man. I stay in contact with them too, so
Yeah.
they're amazing.
Man, I
I
still
gotta
have
go
my
do it
portrait
again.
on the wall. Like it's you can't see it, but it's like
Yeah,
right there. It's still on the wall. It's
nice.
it's hilarious. They just and they do it so effortless. They're like, yeah, like 2 minutes and they got you all tore up on this piece of
They're
paper.
amazing, dude. Yeah, homegirl is super dope. Yeah, when she did me in Balloonski, she didn't really go off. Like she did because she made me a balloon and Balloonski was holding me as a balloon.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went back again to get the full color joint and I brought my puppet and I did my
Oh
puppet with
man.
it, yo, she fucked me up.
Man.
But yo, that's all part of it. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted her to because like you watch all their clips. That's what you look for, and it got to a point where I love going to that page and trying to guess. So they'll
Man,
show
what
the
it's gonna be like.
people, and then like forehead, nose, eyes, and then all of a sudden you
Mm-hmm.
see the drawing. You're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
forehead, nose, and eyes. Like
Yeah.
go off on them.
There was this one clip I saw of a couple, and the guy had like a big nose and like really like prominent nostrils, and then he was with his lady, and I was like, she gonna do something with that man's nose.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
totally.
and the clip, she was like camping out in the nostril, like had a campfire out of the nose hair. It was crazy. I was like,
Yo,
damn.
she looks for like the most minuscule thing. Like girl can be fine as hell. She can be beautiful, beautiful woman. If she has a mole that's on her face, that mole is gonna become a planet. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she'll just go off, bro. She's
People
hilarious.
are people are crazy, but yeah, it was. I didn't even know of them until that time too, and it's like an honor to have been drawn by them because like I hang
Oh
that the
yeah.
picture like with pride now because I'm like, look, I know I look crazy, but that's what they do. That's their thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They clown on you. They find
Mm-hmm.
your flaws and then go 1,000,000% on your flaws.
Yep. It's
It's fun,
crazy.
man. It's mad fun. And dude, I thought they would when you go to get the color joints, like I thought like easy 50, $60.
Hmm.
It's like $20, dude.
Oh
You know?
man, I thought folks was paying more than that. They could
Yeah, me
easily do it
too.
for a
I
hundred.
was ready. Exactly, exactly. I was ready to pay. And then when they
Mm-hmm.
told me, I was like, oh, what? But then, you go and you see like a line of 50 people going down the block. So I was just like, yo, they're banking in here.
Mm-hmm. Making a killing. And I also heard that you knew Kim Jung.
I did.
Yeah, were you guys close?
So he there was a huge language barrier. He didn't really speak English that well.
Mm-hmm.
But so I had a show in Jakarta,
Mm-hmm.
and I painted live with him. Crazy to say that I painted live with Kim Jung,
Right.
with him and Clog too, and another amazing
Clog
artist from
too.
yeah from Singapore, dude. That's a good homie of mine actually. Shout out to Clog too and Inkton, man. I love that couple.
Yeah.
Um,
I've literally
so
been
yeah, like
following
I
them
didn't know
since middle
until
school.
I got there. We went to I think we went to Din Tai Fung, some dumpling place. I don't know which restaurant it was, but I remember walking in there and they're like, I saw him there and I was like, oh wait, that's Kim Jung Gi right there. What the hell? And they're like, yeah, he's in the show too. It was the Jakarta Toy Con, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I found out we're painting live, I was just like, oh damn, really? Like I'm gonna stand
You about
next
to
to this guy and paint live with this guy?
he's
But
about to dunk.
that's another thing where you're like, it's time to step up, just do it, like you can't, you gotta put on your armor and take the strike. So I was just like, dude, I'm just gonna go up there and rock me, do what I do. And yeah, he was super cool. I remember being at dinner and then they had everyone to the left of you ask you a question around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat next to Kim Jung Gi. So he had asked me why I painted the pandas. And I kind of, I told him like, well, like the pandas are dying out and I wanted to like repopulate the planet with my type of panda, which is
Mm-hmm.
like a vicious, angry panda because they're mad at the people and blah blah. I made up a whole story and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we rocked the Toy Con together, and it was mad cool. And then fast forward a few years later, shout out to Shane from Art Wino. He was the first one to bring Kim Jung Gi to the U.S. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's that famous time lapse of Kim Jung Gi painting the Star Wars
Mm-hmm.
sketch. You seen that one?
Yeah.
So I was there for that when he did that.
Dang.
And what is crazy is, fun fact is, Kim Jung Gi didn't know too much about Star Wars. Like he knew the basics,
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't that deep of a fan. So I remember when he was asking his assistant, he was talking to his assistant, and I'm there filming him because I got all the footage from that. And I was like, "What did he ask you?" She's like, "He's trying to figure out what the speeder, the bike thing in Return of the Jedi looks like." Blah blah blah. And I told him I really don't know. And then this fool just gets on the wall, kills it, dude. Like to a T. Like, how the hell did he pull that out of his brain? You know what I mean? Like, Homeboy destroyed that Star Wars Samurai joint. And I believe because the Star Wars Samurai toys came out after he had done that. I have a feeling they saw him do that and was like, yo, we need to come out with like the Star Wars Samurai series. You know what I mean? That's
Mm-hmm.
what I truthfully believe because he smashed that. So that was like the second time I saw him. And then I did Comic Con New York and he was doing a book signing and he was at his table. And in my head, just from experience, I'm like, oh, this is like 3 years later. So in my head, I'm like, this fool won't talk to me. He's Kim Jong Gi. Like, he won't, you know what I mean? Like, who am I? You know what I mean? So I remember walking past his table. It's packed as hell. And there was a line of people getting his book signed. And as I walk by, I hear someone yell, Woes! And I turn
Mm.
around and it's his assistant. And then I look and Kim Jong Gi is at the table and he's all like waving at me. And I was like, oh shit, dude remembered me, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I walk up to the table, shake his hand, and she's like, oh, he said it was good to see you, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, yeah, so hyped to see you. And then he was like, you want a book?
Mm.
And there's a line there. And, like what he does is he used to have a camera videoing what he's drawing. And the rule is you're not allowed to, like a DJ, you can't take requests. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like the sketch you get in your book is what you get from Kim Jung.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, sure, I'll take a book. You know, he was gonna give me a book. I was like, I'll take it. So people are looking at me like, who's this dude? You know, like he stopped the line because of this dude. So he takes the book and he starts drawing in it, and he sketches me painting on the wall,
Oh shoot.
and he writes Aaron on it. Hold up, real quick.
Oh man, I got to see that. That's crazy.
So this is the book.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
I mean, I look like Raquan the chef in it, but he drew me, man.
Oh shoot. Look at that. That's crazy. Probably just like
Dude,
real quick too, like
I
nothing.
was I was floating, man. I was like, wow. That was one of those moments I was like, damn, art brought me here. You know what I mean? Like legend stopped me in my tracks to say hi and then gave me a book and then drew me in his book. I was just like, yo, rest in
And
peace to Kim Jung Gi, man. I mean,
mhm. Rest in peace to
sad to
the
hear.
legend.
Sad to hear he passed and stuff.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to I forget exactly what month he passed, but he was gonna go to a Lightbox that October, Lightbox Expo. And I was
Oh,
going
that's
to
right.
that Lightbox Expo, and like he ended up passing away right before we got there, but they still had his booth up, and his booth just had
Uh,
like a space for
so
everybody
was
to
it?
like write and leave flowers.
Is this the one that he passed on his way there, or was it he passed on his way to New York Comic Con, right?
Right, right. This was like months.
Yeah.
The Lightbox Expo was months after. This was
Oh
like,
yeah. So they still had to like do his booth, right?
yeah, and they just left like it was just a big white wall, like kind of like a box, like that was the whole area of the booth, and they
Mhm.
just left it white, and they put his name and like rest in peace, and then everybody was just like drawing different things, and like people were drawing
Oh man,
flowers and stuff like that. It was really nice.
yo, he's insane, man. He's
Yeah,
insane.
he
Watching
was.
him paint that Star Wars piece, because I always wanted to see his work like doing and like actually concentrate and watch him draw, you know.
Mhm.
And to me, like at the time, I was like, dude, this guy's almost like autistic with it, you know,
Mm,
like
super just
having yeah, like an autism vibe to him when he drew because he sit there because there's no references, and this dude's perspectives when he can draw in fisheye. Like who does that? You know what I mean?
yeah.
And to have him lean into the wall with a pen and just sit there and
You don't
watching him,
gotta.
and he would stare and think for a few seconds, and then he'll go bam, ta, 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 ta. And then I'll just be like, "Yo, like what the hell?" I like for real. Like I talked to this about with Jose Mertz. I'm like, it would have been like the uh ultimate what do you call exhibition battle, and it'd be 10 of the best Secret Walls guys versus Kim Jung Gi.
He's like a raid boss. Like and they should still be
Final
scared.
boss for
They
sure,
should
dude.
still all of them gotta go their hardest to even stand a chance.
Yeah, man. And dude, he would have smashed them all easy.
Yeah.
He would have
Just
smashed them all.
nasty. He was nasty. He was built different for
Yeah,
sure.
he was.
But
Yeah.
speaking of more homies too, I know that two crews of sorts are the Mighty Giants and Meta Fortress. And I want to know what roles those crews play in your life and how they come to be.
Okay, so Mighty Giants. I'll start with Mighty Giants. So Mighty Giants, the first iteration of Mighty Giants was Boom Bap Kids,
Hmm.
and Boom Bap Kids, the Boom Bap Kids, was a hashtag that I shared with Kevin Lyons. When I first when I first painted with Kevin Lyons in Detroit, I knew he was a hip hop head, but not to that extent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This New York dude, his stories and history and hip hop was amazing. Like I was just bugging out on it. So, he shows up to the wall and we're supposed to paint this big wall in Detroit. And he goes, I got the music. And I was like, okay, hell yeah. So he pulls out a bag, a Ziploc bag. And in the Ziploc bag, there must have been like, I don't know, 20 iPod shuffles, the little squares,
Mm-hmm.
iPod shuffles. And he goes, in this bag, I have all the hip hop music from Detroit because we're in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like Frank and Dan, Jay Dilla, like, he had all these like classic Dilla joints on each shuffle, and the shuffle is like 8 hours each.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, we can plug this into a stereo or speaker, and we'll just let it play the whole time while we paint. So when he brought that, I was just like, yo, this is my dude right here. Like, who does that? You know what I mean? He later told me he got that idea from being in Japan. Like, this office he worked out of, these kids would bring iPod shuffles, and I don't know how it went, but they challenged each other, and the winner get to play their iPod shuffle for the whole 8 hours of the workday.
Oh wow.
So for a time, Kevin Lyons said he would just shop around and started buying up iPod shuffles and doing what these kids were doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, that's amazing. Because, you go to the office, you just plug it into the speaker and you play it. And when the playlist is done, it's the end of your workday. You know what I mean? You can go home.
Mm-hmm.
So, being at the wall, chopping it up with him about hip hop, I came up with the tag Boom Bap Kids because we're old as fuck, and now we're talking about boom bap rap and the history of boom bap rap, our favorite boom bap uh, crews or MCs or whatever. Like we spent the whole day like while we're painting talking about hip hop. So then along the same line, Jose Mertz, my boy, he's like also a deep hip hop head. So we always chop it up about hip hop, and he just became part of that hashtag. You know what I mean? And we record music all the time when we're together, and like it would be dope, man, if we can shoot a video where we look like Muppets, you know? And I was like, that would be sick. So he was just like, then where will we get those done? So right there, I got the cogs going, and I was like, yo, I know how to sew. Like, shit, maybe I can try and make a puppet, you know?
Mm. Oh, so you made all those puppets?
Yeah, I made the first iteration of it. My roommate makes them now, but because I
Uh-huh.
taught him how to do it. So so Jose was like, "No way, you're gonna do that?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Dude, that'd be dope if you can make them." So I bought a sewing machine, went on YouTube University, figured out all
Mm-hmm.
the stuff I needed, and then went to the store, bought all that shit, brought it back. And my girl at the time was tripping. She's like, "Dude, you bought all this shit? Like, you really gonna try and make a puppet?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to make a puppet." So I started like at 6 in the evening, and I stayed up through the night. I had finished it by 11 the next morning.
Mm.
And it was a puppet of myself. It looked busted, but I did it. So then later that week, I made Jose. And then Art Basel was coming out. So I was like, yo, I'm going to bring our puppets to Art Basel, and then we can like do some skits and maybe shoot a video. I brought it to Art Basel, and people were bugging out on it. They're like, dude, I can't believe you made that shit. And I was just like, dude, it was kind of fun to do, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, when the homies saw it, they wanted one too. So Kevin Lyons was like, dude, I want a puppet. I made him. I made Saturnal, and I made a dragon, pretty much Metafortress,
Mhm.
And then I brought them all down to Hawaii Walls, which was still powwow, I think at the time, and I crashed it. Meaning, of course, I'm invited because I'm from Hawaii, but I myself invited Saturnal, Dragon, and Jose.
That's 3 legendary
And
Pokemon.
yeah, so then I told Jasper, I was like, "Hey, I'm bringing some friends with me to come paint with me." And then he's like, "Who?" I told him who it was, and of course, you tell him those names, and they're already hitters. He's like, oh, "Okay, cool, that's cool." And shout out to Jasper because we fundraised and raised the money to get our own Airbnb, and like even rent a car. Like we did all of that just so we can like. I wanted to be a good host to Dragon and the homies, so I want to make sure they were comfortable enough.
Hmm.
But it was dope because Jasper ended up reaching out and got us a sponsorship through Toyota, and they ended up paying for our place to stay, and they paid us to paint the wall. So we ended up painting that big building, that wraparound building.
Hmm. I know exactly which one you're talking. It's over there near it's like right across from where Persuade painted that piece. It's like,
Yeah,
was it
yeah,
like
right by the
adjacent to them?
park.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. And then at the same time, so I crashed the party with these nasty homies, and it was the first time I ever brought the puppets out. So people were just like, dang, this dude went 1,000%. Like
Yeah.
I brought all this shit, and people were just like, yo, this is crazy. Oh, blah, this is amazing. And that was the Hawaii Walls where COVID started to pop up.
Hmm.
So that one, I got sick, Jose got sick, Saturno got sick, and it was the beginning. So we all thought it was just fever, some
Hmm.
kind of cold. But it was after that that the whole pandemic started. So now I have these puppets, but now I can't do what I wanted to do with them. So I had a homie out here in LA that would make my beats. And he was just like, hey, let's shoot a video. He had the same idea. He's like, let's shoot a video using puppets. And could you teach me how to make puppets? And I'm like, yeah, all day, easy. So I taught him how to make puppets, and now we're on lockdown. And so we would go to a warehouse, and I did a workshop where I taught him how to make puppets. And we started to like brainstorm, and it was like, yo, all our DJ homies are going on Twitch and spinning live on Twitch. So let's do that. So
Hmm.
we busted through the walls as puppets on Twitch, even DJing as a puppet.
Yeah.
But people were just like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? And of course we know everyone in the LA community, like our network of DJs in LA and across the board are deep, from beat junkies to like just well-known DJs, you know what I mean? And we built such a big community that, I mean, unfortunately, it got spun out of control because our old manager kind of like, we ended up getting in like a, what do you call it, into some drama, and we ended up having to, we ended up splitting from him.
Hmm.
But towards the end of our reign as Boom Bap Kids, we ended up working with Jazzy Jeff, De La Soul, A Period. Like, we started making we're covering great ground. You know what I
Right.
mean? But then when all that got thrown out of whack, we had to like situate ourselves and start all over.
Hmm.
So then we came up with the name Mighty Giants. I had two more crew members come in, and then we started recording music as puppets, which is fun as fuck. So like getting homies that don't rhyme to rhyme as a puppet was amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then, we started going on Twitch again, and we got invited to a couple of festivals, and now we started our podcast. So now we're at that road, and we're trying to push that, and still trying to do the live performances.
And is
So
it
I don't make the I make my own puppets, but my roommate Silent John, he made most of the puppets that you see today.
and
And
it's
he's
called
an amazing
the
dude.
oh my
The
bad.
Mighty
Go for it.
Giants. Yeah, the Mighty Giants.
That's the name of the podcast too, the Mighty Giants podcast.
Mighty Giants show.
Oh, Mighty Giants show. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And we're on Twitch as the Mighty Giants. The Mighty Giants.
Man.
But yeah, so my role is basically a host while we're DJing, like the MC host. Of course, writing music and doing tracks, and we all do skits, and we all do tracks, and it's fun, man, because there's no inhibitions of being a puppet. You know what I mean? Like you can do
Right.
whatever you want, and it's very nostalgic, and that's what I learned from doing the puppets early on. When I went to Art Basel, everyone from kids to grandmas were like fascinated by it because we all grew up on it. So it's kind of like, and doing it as a hip hop dude, like it's fun like that. You know what I mean? And I later found out that Kevin Lyons was already a puppet before, so
Oh,
which is
really?
amazing. Yeah, yeah. It was a. It's funny though. I don't know if I should share this, but Kevin Lyons played as a Dominican puppet. But it was short lived, and he just did it as I think a one time thing. He's like, people won't have that today, but back in the day, like I was a Dominican puppet. So
Yeah.
Kevin has this puppet. Um, Dragon has his puppet. Um, it was just cool to make puppets of my homies, and to show that art and that creative side of me was again another way to connect me to hip hop.
Yeah. Mm. Man, and you're always making that's one thing that I'm enjoying so much about hearing your story is like you're always trying to bring everything to any situation, any opportunity. Just so cool. Like you're always trying to find a way to like, okay, where in here can I paint? Where in here can I build? Where in here can I like bring the puppet? Where in here can I DJ? And like and you find a way to like maximize every opportunity. And like that, I mean, that's key. That's amazing.
Oh, thanks, man. It's fun, man. I like to share it. So with my art and my creative side, however I can do that and connect with people, that's what I try to do,
Mhm,
whether it's through music or through puppetry or through the art. You know what I mean?
mhm. And
And that goes with Meta Fortress. Crew. It's just a
so
bunch of.
I'll go for it.
Oh, go on.
It sounded like you
No,
were
no, go
about to
on.
explain it.
Oh, no, no, no. What were you gonna ask?
I was just gonna ask about Meta Fortress a little more, but it sounded like you were about to get into it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So Meta Fortress was kind of like a moniker I used as an MC. Because just the name itself, Meta Fortress, is it's just a sick ass name. You know what I mean?
I
And
liked it.
so I was building with Jose Mertz, and then we just ended up going under Meta Fortress. Well, our first crew was called Sandlot, like the movie.
Hmm.
A bunch of homies, and when we're together, we're like kids because we're always clowning and talking shit. You know what I mean? And we're like the Sandlot kids. So
Hmm.
then I ended up taking Meta Fortress, and we solidified it when me and Jose toured Japan. When we went to Tokyo and then Osaka,
Hmm.
we told Dragon we're gonna change Sandlot into Meta Fortress. And Metal Fortress is pretty much me, Jose, and Dragon, and sometimes Saturnal. You know, Saturnal's kind of in his own pocket, but when we paint together, it's Metal Fortress. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Saturnal's so nasty.
Yeah, he's, you know, fun fact, when I first started painting murals, the very first time I got asked to paint a mural was by my high school principal. She had a new wing in the school. She wanted me to paint a mural because she wanted it to be like a past student that painted there. And I initially told her no. And she was like, can, you know, I really wanted to be a student. Can you just try? If you don't like it, you know, we'll paint over it. I was like, okay, fine. And we had a little meeting. I drew this little thing I was gonna draw, and then she approved it, and I was supposed to start that weekend. And it was like maybe Wednesday. I went on YouTube and searched how to paint a mural. Saturnal's video was the first one that came up.
No
and
way.
and it was like him painting on the side of, it was like painting like maybe like on some like wall. It wasn't any wall in particular, but I remember seeing the way that he was like using the cans and the spray and like the gradients. He was literally like the first mural artist that I saw work with spray paint. And like I went and bought spray paint because of him. And like,
That's dope.
yeah, he was like the very first one. And that he's probably like that hero that MJ for me. I still have never met him, but like I always tell people, I'm like, I'm a flip when I finally meet him. Like, I'm going
Hell
to
yeah.
flip.
He's such a cool guy, man. Saturnal's the shit.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a cool guy. Yeah, another thing that connects all of us is, dude, we're all like underground hip hop heads, you know? Saturnal is like an amazing turntablist. He can scratch.
Really?
He was also, yeah, and he was also a sick b-boy. He was part of a turntablist crew, like used to enter battles and stuff
Mm-hmm.
as a scratch DJ.
Okay.
But he's also a b-boy, so you know, me and Jose being hip hop heads, and Dragon, I mean, dude, Dragon's kid is in Dynamic Rockers, which is a New York institution. They're opposite of Rocksteady Crew, you know what I mean? So with his boy being a b-boy from Dynamic Rockers, and you know, like that's like a hip hop family in itself. Like Dragon
Yeah.
and his wife and his kid. And you connect me and Jose, who are always talking about hip hop, along with Kevin Lyons. We even say Kevin Lyons is Metal Fortress too, because we all connect on that level. And then meeting Saturnal, it's kind of like, damn, you step back and look at that squad and be like, yo, you know what I mean? Like all these guys. And when we get together and paint, it's like a new movie came out, you know? And I
Yeah.
remember, and I know someone that, I mean, someone made that when we painted at Studio Invincible in Alapata and next to Wynwood. I forgot who it was, but someone had said, it's like, you know what this looks like? This looks like the illest movie that never came out. You know what I mean? Just the
Yeah.
way we're busting out of the wall, it's just like this crew of guys coming out. Like you want to see an anime of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Exactly how
Absolutely.
we painted in Osaka. We kind of did part two of that in Osaka.
Yeah, is that the one? It's like a yellow background, and it's like
Yeah,
yours,
yeah.
then
The
dragons, then
dragon.
Jose.
Yep.
Yeah, that one was crazy. I remember seeing when y'all first posted that. Dang, that's crazy. That like the to me, it was the first time I had heard of Meta Fortress. So I was like, dang, they just really just came out here with it, man. This is incredible. I think I was like sharing it. I was showing people like all over, like, y'all gotta see this. This is crazy.
Hell yeah! Thanks, man. Yeah, when I paint with those dudes, like to me, I paint better. It forces me to paint better, and I
Yeah.
think it's because I've been painting these pandas so long. When I approach the wall, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna bomb up my panda like the 30-minute joint, you know, like real quick. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But when you're painting next to Dragon and Jose, I'm just like, fuck that. I gotta bring it. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
all my can skills come out. The character becomes deeper. Has more. Has more personality in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To match what Dragon and Jose brings to the table. That's what I love about painting with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Being able to like it's almost like you borrow their power a little bit and like, okay,
Yeah,
since I'm
yeah,
next to
yeah, yeah.
y'all, like I'm going to this level and like yeah, because it had I hadn't seen you paint the panda in that way before and like it was like a
Mhm.
really cool like style. I think he had like a hoodie on or like some armor or something like that too.
Some
And
jacket.
like
He was like part cyborg and shit. And had the
yeah,
Tribe
that
Called
was
Quest camo on the side. It was wild. Even Jose, like he said, that's one of his favorite pandas that I've painted.
yeah, mine also. So then with the crew then are you guys would you consider y'all like I know y'all are all homies, y'all are all boys, but in terms of y'all's closeness, in terms of like how often y'all speak, how often y'all see each other, how often y'all work together, is do you consider yourself to be like super close in that aspect? Or is it kind of like just whenever we can?
Well, I talk to Jose almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my brother. Um, Dragon, it's a little bit harder because there's a language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you mean Jose talk about it all the time when because I know Dragon's just like us except he speaks in Japanese. So we wish we could like talk shit with Dragon, because I know he's right there with us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll message each other back and forth. Oh, miss you, my homie. Like recently he was just on the news in New York. You saw that?
Yep. Yep. And
Crazy, dude. He's doing major things in New York, man. Big ups to Dragon, dude.
mm, like it's crews like this that had me inspired to make a crew of my own. And that's whenever I made the House of Daydreamers. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a group of 5 of us right now. And I want to just ask people who have crews already or have just kind of know how that is in terms of like how to make a strong crew, how to make a long lasting crew, how to make a crew that isn't just like an item or a fad or a title, but actually something that you can all lean on and benefit from. Something that like you're greater because you're with it, you know, versus
Yeah, yeah.
it's something leeching off of you.
Well, for us, it's like again, it's almost hip hop. Like when we get together and paint a mural, that's what kind of pushes it. Like the wall we did in Hawaii, that building, it was called Keepers of the Funk, and it was like this music based kind of like mural that we came up with. And when it comes to that, as far as like closeness we are with each other, I think the murals speak where before it was just like, oh yeah, we'll collab, blah blah blah. But when you start getting people hitting us up and be like, damn, when you guys paint together, it is crazy. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that just pushes us more. You know what I mean? Like Dragon Show when we collab with Dragon and the solo show for XLR, like the pieces were super sick. And then I've painted hella times. There's also almost like a theme. I haven't really solidified the theme, but almost every mural that I've painted with Dragon, I like to say it's from the same universe.
Okay.
Even with Jose, so when we all paint in a collab, it's this world that we created that's just so sick. Again, it's like a movie, and there's the characters in it mean something, and the characters in it coexist with each other. So there, I painted with him in Miami, Worcester, um, DC, like all these collabs that we did. Um, it's kind of like little screenshots from a movie that we had. You know what I mean? That's the way I look
Yeah.
at it.
Mm-hmm. That's some
It's kind of
keyframes.
this warrior theme kind of vibe to it.
Mm. Mm, interesting.
Yeah, we keep in touch, and of course a lot of collabs, and right now Dragon is having his time, like he's been busy, so he's been getting hit up, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we like to, me and Jose, like we consider ourselves kind of like the underdogs, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't always get invited to everything. So we have the tendency to do our own thing. And when we do our own thing, that's when we make an impact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one Art Basel we had, everyone was doing all the big shows, getting together. They're painting big walls, and everyone's just like, getting invited to like little festivals within the festival. So what do me and Jose do? We plan a show with Raquan the chef and DJ Mathematics, and we do a Wu-Tang show.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And he ends up through Jose. We end up communicating with the RZA, and the RZA's like, okay, well, he sends him some of the artwork, and the RZA's like, damn, this is the works that you guys are bringing to the table. So why don't we make this a whole show where we take a track from the Wu album, and each artist does an interpretation of the track. And
Ooh.
then I'll get Raquan and DJ Mathematics to come and perform at your show. So we're just like, what? You know what I mean? Like, and this is all happening in the middle of Wynwood at Art Basel. And I say underdogs is because a lot of people, I don't know if they just didn't really keep track. They didn't really watch our Instagrams or whatever. Because the day after, bro, like people were like, did I hear this right? You guys had a show with Wu Tang and Raekwon performed at your show? And I'm like, yeah, like
Yeah.
that was our show. You know what I mean? While all the while everyone was going to different shows like Scope or whatever, like the heads came to our show,
Mm-hmm.
None of like the bigger homies or the bigger galleries or whatever, not much of them came through the show, but the hip hop heads came to our show, and the show was amazing. Shout out to Jose. We killed that show. That show was fucking amazing.
Mm. Man, I gotta go and look that up. I don't think I saw anything of that, but definitely
Oh
want
yeah,
to check it out.
I'll send you a link on from my Instagram.
Okay, word.
But but yeah, that was sick. On top of that, I kind of was like, I wasn't really DJing in public. I was just at home. I'm a home DJ.
Mm-hmm.
So then RZA had asked Jose like, we need turntables. Can you rent some turntables and a DJ setup? So um Jose asked me to like set that up, and Rizzo's like, you know any DJs? And Jose's like, yeah, I know a DJ. Like Woes can spin. And I was just like, oh man, no way. You're getting me to spin at the show? Like open up for Raquan and Mathematics? And he goes, yeah, man, it's another moment where he's like, yo, it's time for you to step up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then I DJ'd, and I remember getting daps from DJ Mathematics, and it was fun to spin at this show, and a lot of people were like, "Oh shit, he DJs too," and it was an amazing show, man. I had fun, dude, and everyone involved, like Lolo was in that show too, which was really dope.
Oh my
And there's a
goodness.
cool picture of all of us, which is really dope with Raquan.
Man, and
It
then
was
it's
mad cool.
like those are those moments that you'll like if you could go back in time and like show your younger self like a picture like here, check this out. And just
Oh
probably just be
yeah.
like, what the
Yeah,
and
people were bugging because they couldn't believe it. They're like, "What? This show happened? I didn't even know about it." You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, you should have like checked out our Instagram. We've been promoting it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Man, that is and it's stuff like that. I love to blame social media algorithms in times like this because
Oh
the
yeah,
way that they be like the way they be pulling stuff back and boosting stuff up, that like, I don't know. It just sucks that everything's so curated now, you know? And I think that it sometimes it can, I mean, it definitely has an impact on like events and stuff that you try to plan. But just in terms of like trying to build a career and stuff nowadays, it's really rough too, because
Oh yeah,
you got to play the game essentially to get any kind of
totally.
eyes.
Especially now with Instagram, it's such a whole new. It's a different playground now. It was easier, a lot easier back then, and now it's like it's basically TikTok.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's harder for us to get out there and do things. You know,
Hmm.
I wish there was a platform that was by artists and for the artists. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They tried to make one. Somebody made a platform called Kara, and it's
Yeah,
like
I'm on that.
CARA.
I'm on Kara.
Okay, I've never made. I didn't make one, but like, how do you feel about that app?
It really didn't. I mean, I'm still in there, but it hasn't really like blown up. You know,
Hmm.
it hasn't really taken off. But I know, Audrey Kawasaki's on there, Jose's on there. There's a bunch of homies on there, but it doesn't get the same traffic. You know,
Yeah,
so
I guess it's like, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like they have, they have a way. Instagram has gotten dangerously good at distracting people too, which
oh
is
yeah.
like, man, I'll go on there to do one thing and like I'm like down the rabbit hole looking at dog videos and stuff. And I'm like, what am I doing? Let me get up.
I was about to say the shit. I was going to say cat videos. Like,
Yeah. And it's
dude.
ridiculous. Like I don't, and it's because they, I mean, they have all kind of technology to like analyze your activity and stuff, and they push what you want to see. But it kind of sucks because then there's a lot of things that maybe you haven't, maybe it's not in like things that you've been looking at, but it might be something that's still interesting, but you miss it all the same because it's not a part of
Oh
this
yeah.
recipe that they're cooking up for
Yeah, I
you.
hardly see like I used to see artists post a lot, like
Hmm.
homies.
Hmm.
No, I rarely see them. I have to actually go and search it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like whenever I was before the podcast and I was doing some research on you, I mean, I even just going to your page, I was like, look at all this stuff I have not seen. Like this is crazy.
Oh yeah, same
Yeah,
thing, man.
it's a crazy thing. Um, one more thing too. I wanted to ask. I know that earlier this year, or maybe last year, you went through a time where you had some troubles with your vision,
Oh
and
yeah. I mean, I'm still going through it actually.
and I'm
So
just curious to know, as an artist, man, like my vision is something that I strive. My eyes and my hands, I have to keep them safe,
yeah,
and I'm like, I have to know how something like that has affected you. I'm sure that it was scary.
it was the scariest thing. I mean, like I said in my story earlier, like I had like a near death experience with a car accident, but when the eyes gave out, the scariest shit, man. Because I was actually blind for a good month and a half.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I could see a little bit out of my left eye, but it was like looking through really thick stained glass.
Oh no. So it's just like light. You're like, it's just light and maybe
Light
blobs.
and like, yeah, blobs for sure,
Mhm.
blobs. And yeah, actually, so I'm a type 2 diabetic.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
when I was in shout out to Plaza Walls because I had a great time painting out there. And while I was on the wall, you were at that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, while I was at the wall, I didn't tell anybody. I mean, I hit it pretty good. But while I was at the wall, my left eye went blurry
Mm.
while while painting. So
Was it
I
like
didn't.
it was just like you woke up one day, or you just blinked and it just kind of blurred up?
Yeah, I woke up in the morning, and I think like within an hour, like walking around, like it just felt like water had filled up in it,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and then it just went blurry, and I got super scared. I was like, dude, what the hell is wrong with my eye? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to let the music play. I had to paint, so I was just like, well, I'll deal with this when I get home. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I went to my wall and I pretty much painted the rest of my mural. I was halfway done, painted the rest of my mural with one eye, and then when I got home, um, I went to the docks, and then they told me that uh, it was a diabetic thing. So basically, this is like your eyeball, and then this is the part of your eyeball that connects to the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens with having uh with being a diabetic, you'll get like nerve damage. So the nerve damage happens between the eye and the where the socket is,
Mm-hmm.
and scar tissue builds up, and what it does, it pushes this off of the eye.
Oh, so it's like messing with the connection of it, essentially.
Yeah, so it's like disconnecting your eye from your vision.
Mm.
So it was getting worse, and then I had to go and figure out how to get my eye operated on it. I had to get a vitrectomy, and then and this is all the while Jose came and stayed with me because he went through hurricane damage at his house.
Oh, wow.
So Jose lived with me for 3 months. He lost everything in his house. It was nasty. So I told him, come stay with me. So it was kind of like the cosmos was like, you homies need to be together. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
on some strength shit. So while he was here, this eye was already bad. And while kicking it with him, we're watching TV, this eye filled up with blood.
Oh,
Like
man.
if it just turned red, like a dark burgundy.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know what that was either. So then when I went back to the docks like 3 days later, they told me it was happening to my other eye.
Oh, no.
So then this eye went totally dark. So then they said I would have to get two laser surgeries on both eyes since they're doing, and then I had to get vitrectomies on both eyes. And then I had to get cataracts done because they're already going in there. So they're like, let's do two cataracts on each eye. And altogether, I did eight procedures on my eyes. And
Man.
then yeah, so they removed scar tissue, and I did this gas bubble thing where it forces the eye to get back to heal against the sockets.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly my vision started coming back. And then
Mm.
um it did it really I do have permanent damage, so that's why I had to get a new prescription. When I don't have my glasses on, it's like really blurry, but my left eye is worse. It always fills up with tears, and my peripherals is not as good on my left eye,
Mm-hmm.
but my right eye is better with glasses. So I have one more appointment, and I think I just gotta fix my prescription. But yo, that time, man, I did a lot of contemplating. I went through all of it, man. The crying, the fucking yelling, fighting with fighting with myself. You know, in panic mode, talking to my parents, don't know what I'm gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and luckily, my girl helped me out a lot. She was there to be my second eyes, even though she lives out in Oakland. And being surrounded by good homies that took me to my surgeries, and I became blind fury for a bit. Like I could navigate through my house in the dark. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And
yeah.
so, fortunately, after all the surgeries, like my vision came back, even though it's not how it used to be. But yeah, I mean, enough for me to like be able to draw, design, look at my turntables and spin.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, man. I'm glad that they were able to, like, I'm glad that all those procedures worked and were able to restore, at least a good amount of vision and things too. Cause like,
yeah,
like that, cause that's like, that's so scary to think about. And like, yeah, I'm sorry that you had to go through all of that. And like,
everything. The most minuscule things that you took for granted. Like I thought about it. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
From even preparing a meal, or even getting a cup of water. Like shit like that. Like for a good time, like when I ate, I couldn't even see my bowl. Like I didn't know what I was looking at. You know what I mean?
interesting. Mm,
I would just see this because at one point both eyes were like looking through. When my vision was slowly coming back, it was still like looking through stained glass,
yeah.
but it started getting clearer and clearer slowly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
But even now, like my reaction time on my dilation is slow. So when it gets dark, if I'm indoors and then I go outdoors, it's super dark. My eyes take a little bit while longer for it to adjust to the dark.
mm-hmm,
It's not like right away. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's still frustrating because I have to live like this now. But as long as I got my vision back, like I'm happy.
Yeah.
Plus the community came out, man. Like when I did the GoFundMe, man, like I can't thank people enough. Like artist homies that reached out, sent money and helped me out. Um, and then fans out of the woodworks, man. Like that's when I found out, like, I've had fans that's been following me since like they're kids. Sending me long ass messages, and for a while I couldn't even read them. I would have to do text to speech.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You know, and even
yeah.
navigating through that, like trying to figure out how to make it read. Like I had to amp up my phone to the biggest font.
Oh man.
And like
Yeah.
it was really heartfelt, like the things people were saying, like stuff like, "Oh, your art helped me get through this and that," and I just want to send that energy back. Like, sorry you're going through this, and it was crazy. So that motivated me to, because I went to dark places, man, like super dark places. I thought it was done for me. Like I thought once my vision was gone, it got to a point where I was just like, man, I don't want to be here. Like
Mm,
it's done. You know what I mean? Like, what do I have if I don't have my art
yeah.
or my
Mm,
music? I can't see my music. You know what I mean?
yeah.
The motivation from my fans and art homies and family, like, it was dope. It kept me grounded, man.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. So beautiful. I'm glad because I mean it sounds like you got back what you had been giving out, which was nothing but love and support and good energy and it was your turn to get all that stuff back. And it seems
Oh
like that's
yeah.
exactly what they gave you. And so that's so good that worked out. And between between this experience and with your car accident, with these things that are so big and they seem like seemingly sudden, like you're just 1 minute it's this, next minute it's that. And what is that? How has that shaped your view on like life and your sense of time and like you said, even like the little things in life?
Well, for me, it's like, when we all start, like, when you look at artists, or when you're trying to get into art, it's like you're trying to flex, especially when you're younger. You want people to see your art. You want to be like, yo, yeah, I did this shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But going through what I've been through, like, I see the bigger picture, and I don't worry about all that anymore. You know what I mean? I don't worry about being on the flyer or being the biggest name on the flyer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Me, I keep that same frame of mind that I had when I first started this shit. Like, loving it and painting because I love to paint. You know what I mean? Like, it's not because I'm trying to get somewhere or become a bigger artist or whatever. Like, I just want to paint, and that's how I communicate with people and connect with people. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And yeah, losing the vision, it was just kind of like, I was like, dude, dude, I'm not done. There's other things I wanted to do. Like, I had just bought a wheel. I wanted to get into ceramics,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to make planters and sculptural pieces and stuff like that. And right after I got it, my eyes went out. You know what I mean? So I'm just sitting there like, dude, what the hell? Like, I can't even do
Mm-hmm.
that anymore. And
Yeah.
and now that I'm slowly coming out of it, I'm just kind of like, again, back to that saying, time to step up and, not take things for granted, and just, not worry about what anyone says or how people feel about you, and just represent you, you know what I mean? In its truest form, and just do it because you love it.
Mhm. Do you have a goal with the type of work you make? Like, what you were telling me seems very like you're focused on the input instead of reaching a particular place. But do you have is there a bigger, stronger motivation behind each piece of artwork, or are these bricks that are building a specific kind of structure that you wanna see?
For me, I guess leaving a mark, man, being part of the history of it, to say that I've been there and I enjoyed being there at that moment in time. I've always been a person that kind of like lives in a moment, and
Mhm,
I've never, a lot of homies that I know, like, they've gone to art school, they're classically trained, want to be represented by a gallery, they want to end up in a museum, that kind of thing. I never really thought about that. To me, I just kind of wanted to paint because it would trip people out, or it would, people loved what I did, and I would connect with them in that sort of way. You know what I mean? I mean, even now when I think about it, like, if I had to, I mean, besides the vision thing, like, if I had to stop painting and go back to Hawaii, I wouldn't mind going back to Hawaii, getting a regular 9 to 5, maybe get into tattoos, go fishing, and just live the island life. You know what I mean?
mhm,
I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? I mean, if I can come successful in one of those things, then cool, that'd be dope. But for me personally, like I can't have kids. You know what I mean? So for me, when I think about it, like, if I had kids, then I'd be like, oh, I'm making a little me. Now I have to be responsible and build a little me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But for me, the rest of my life, I just have to take care of myself. You know what I mean? And the
mhm,
people around me, and just love the people around me, and kick it with the people that are important to me. If I had
mhm,
a child in my life, then of course, like, there would be a bigger goal, and be like, well, I want, especially in these times, we're living really fucked up times right now, and like, to bring a kid into this world right now, like, would be crazy for me, like, to think about it, like, what's gonna happen. in his future or her future. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you spoke earlier about how artists just starting out are like, you're trying to prove yourself, you're trying to, put on, and you're, as someone who has kind of gone through the different stages of being a creative, what would you tell those people if they're going back and forth with you and they're trying to argue the case that like that's what it's all about and that's what they should be doing, and like what kind of response would you have to that kind of thinking, and like what would you advise for them?
And I'd be do it. If that's what your goals are and you want to do it, then just do it respectfully and not lose focus on why you started and make sure you love it. You got to make sure you love it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because I don't see nothing wrong about doing that and being in big galleries or museums or whatever. Um, that's awesome because I like going to those things, you know? I like
mhm,
going to a dope museum or a dope art show in a gallery or whatever. Um, but yeah, basically, yeah, I definitely encourage them to do it, but I would also tell them not to lose their day job right away. You know what I
mhm.
mean? It's
Yeah.
especially hard nowadays, you know what I mean? Especially with social media, you know what I mean? And how much uh how much of it is a Halloween day for people, you know, like there's so many people in costumes on social media. You know, there's
Mhm.
people celebrating. I got 1 million followers, and then you look at their followers, and their followers is like 000 private private zero fire private. You know, I'm just like, dude, you've paid fucking $100 for your million followers or some bullshit. You know, it's you're just playing yourself. You know what I mean? There's no like you're just putting a mask over it. It's not real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mhm.
You're just worried about likes and followers, and that's to me, it's bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Some of the illest people have less than 500 followers. I find Instagram people that are dope ass artists, you know, that you can tell they're just doing it the natural way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they're amazing.
Yeah, and it's a long game too. Like it's people want to start in January and be
Yeah.
famous by like June. And I'm like, no, that ain't
No,
that ain't how it
not
happened.
at all. Not at
Like,
all. And that's what social media did, you know, like a kid coming straight out of art school is like, you know, they do a painting and they're like, yeah, that's 50K. You're like, no, it's not. Like
mm-mm. I mean, ain't nobody gonna
you
buy it.
didn't. Yeah, exactly. You need to like, pay your dues the right way. You know what I mean?
Work your way up, man. Because
Like I'll go on pages and then I'll look at their followers and I'm like, you can tell who's fake or not. You can tell who bought followers or use bots to get likes. Because a
mhm.
lot of the people that follow them aren't real people. It's
And
just like it's like the people that call up and try to scam you with Amazon shit. It's like a dude from India or something. You're like, what the hell? Like, come on now, dude.
yeah, and it don't even be that serious. Like, I and I guess it's hard to. I mean, because I don't even. For me, I'm not even somebody that's got like a whole bunch of followers and stuff like that. So it's like, but
Hmm.
I guess maybe it's because I know people who have a huge audience, and I've seen how it like that is playing a very minimal part in
Yeah,
in their career and in their stuff. And so I guess I've kind of learned through seeing them, but I guess it would be hard for somebody who doesn't have that, and then like convincing them that it's not the end all be all, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Mm, mm,
yeah,
mm,
for
mm,
sure,
mm.
man. Yeah,
Man.
because I mean, I do have a lot of followers, but I can go through my followers and I can remember when I met this person. You know what I mean? Oh, I remember this person from here. Remember this person from here. You know what I mean?
Hmm. And that's what you want to build, because like I mean that's a foundation that's strong, and that's a foundation of people who who will support you even as you develop and change and switch things up. It's not just like people who are all here for this one thing, or because they're like bots, or because they all flooded in off this one thing you did. These are people who are going to stick around.
Oh yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
loved it when I don't know, they don't do it anymore, but these Instagram used to do the purge where they would get rid of all the fake they would get rid of
Oh
fake
yeah.
accounts and stuff like that. So everyone was like in panic mode, like I lost 300K followers. I'm just like, I know where you
Mm-hmm.
got those followers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
I
was like,
bought
man, I
them.
wish they would do that like bi-monthly or something, like get rid of all that shit, you know? But it's a
Yeah.
money grab, you know? People are paying for all this stuff. So,
Yeah, it's become it's become a business and a game versus like a platform for
yeah.
connection, which ugh, just kind of sucks.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And
Mm,
so it's tougher right now, like even for a young artist to ask me like how you get this or how do you get there, blah blah blah. It's a different time, and also the steps they need to make will be a lot different than the steps I took. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And then because then it's especially when it comes to like building anything like social media, and then it also depends on like the part of town you're in too. Like I feel like depending on the community, certain opportunities are easier to get into than others, And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
mm, it's tough. It's tough.
But the best is, you know, our I mean, we're all part of it. You're part of it. I'm part of it. It's the community that we're part of. You know what I mean? Like outside of social media, from us meeting up, whether it be over in Atlanta or how we met in Oklahoma or when you came to Hawaii, like that's a real community, real connections that we have with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's through that like that we can carry on with our careers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm, mm, that's beautiful. Building that real community through real people.
Oh yeah,
Mm,
man.
mm.
Oh yeah,
Are
yeah.
there
Your
any
squad, dude. Your
what'd
squad
you say?
is insane. Everyone in your squad is dope. You guys got a dope crew, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We out here trying to make some moves in the coming months and stuff. And it's been hard to find the time to like come together and really make something because we've all been so busy individually.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think I'm being a little
That's a
like
good sign, man.
yeah, I'm being a little impatient with it, I feel, because I'm like, dang it, we supposed to have done 5 shows by now. We supposed to have hoodies and we supposed to do this and this and this. And it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I think it's been like a little over a year since I've started it. And so it's like you gotta give it time. A lot of these
For
people
sure.
have been at this for, these crews have been together for years and years, and it takes time to really mix and find that flow too. Uh,
Are all you guys from Atlanta?
Not all from Atlanta, but we're all in Atlanta right now. We're all based in Atlanta.
Oh, dope. Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, it's
Dope, man.
it's me, it's George, it's Trudy, it's
Yeah,
Leia, and Jaleel,
sick.
and it's like the five of us, and we all just be rocking out whenever we can.
It's dope.
Hmm. Yeah.
You guys, have you guys done art beats and lyrics?
George has, and I know that I put a piece in, like I put a piece into that, like the little, like the temporary show or something. It's like one
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
I had a piece in there, but
Nice.
yeah, our beats and lyrics is
Because
a fun
one of
show.
my good friend Matt, he does some of the curation on that, and he builds all the walls for that show.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think I
yeah,
might know
he's
that guy.
invited me a couple of times, but I've always been way busy at the time. But
Mm-hmm.
I told him that he needs to invite a group of us from our community to be in it, so like we all have a good time together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Be super down, man.
So I
Um,
haven't been back to Atlanta in forever.
man, it's I mean, it's just like how you left it. You know, we just
Yeah.
it's more potholes. But that's all. You know, it's still out here rocking.
One day, man, I'll be able to introduce you to Saturno for sure.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. You trying to see me cry real tears. Tell you, that'll
Yo,
be
that dude
crazy.
is. We're planning a huge show for Art Basel actually.
Really?
Yeah, Jose's part of this new gallery called Command Center. He's
Mm-hmm.
the curator for it, and we're doing a show called Cream of the Planets.
Ooh.
And Saturno's definitely down to be in that.
Mm.
But you know, we got some heavyweights, and I'm
Mm.
looking forward to it because I haven't been back to Art Basel in like 3-4 years, maybe three
Mm-hmm.
years. But before that, I used to go to Art Basel every year since 2012. So,
Oh man. So you knew about it.
oh yeah, I mean, when it was when the neighborhood was raw, where you had to, Winwood was just one street,
Mm-hmm.
and they told you not to go down this street or down this street, like just stay right here. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
now Winwood is like, now it's like all gentrified, and it's, like, I mean, dude, I think they have a fucking, once a Starbucks or a Foot Locker shows up, it's not the same anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Winwood Walls was free back then. You could just walk through it. Now they charge, I think.
Yeah. Uh, that's like on my mural bucket list. If I could ever paint at Wynwood Walls, or there's the
Oh
something
yeah,
something Browery Wall in New
Bowie
York, I
Walls.
think
Yep,
that would
that
be
would be
crazy.
dope. Yeah,
My
man.
goodness, love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Back in the day, it was insane. So you would show up to Basel, and it was pretty much free for all. If you can get in contact with the owner of the building, sometimes people didn't even ask. They would just start painting. You know what I mean? And you're walking down the street, and you see some dude you never heard of. You find out he's from like Spain, and he's just nasty with it. You're just like, yo, what the hell? Like, holy shit. Then you make a connection. And, it's crazy because it's one of those stories where a lot of these guys ended up either doing a show with them or meeting them back in Hawaii. You know what I mean? So that's really cool because of powwow and shit.
Yeah,
But people would
it's
barbecue on the street and just kick back and watch people paint. Now you have to, like, I think some buildings, I think the owners of the building will charge you to paint the wall
yeah,
because it's
yeah,
because it's Basel time. You know what I mean?
yeah. That's what sucks, man. But I think one of the cool things about Basil that I like so much is the fact, like you were saying before, when you can just meet somebody randomly and you just never know who that person might be. Like they might be top dog where they come from.
Oh,
And
totally.
but like
That's happened so many times.
yeah, and like everybody just like the playing field gets leveled out when you're over there. Like you just everybody like you don't know them, they don't know you, and it's just a place to really like be curious about the people next to you and seeing like um just who's around. It encourages you to like I don't know, just get to know people, and the connections you make down there are some that I mean that can last for the long term. I think
Oh, for sure.
I met Jack down there. Jack and Lawrence and Mark all at the same time. They were all like rolling together. And man, I
Oh,
thought those were like the
crazy.
coolest guys ever. I was like, dang, like cool guys from Hawaii. They just hanging out at this little spot. Like, this is
Yeah,
tight.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Basel is crazy. Like they would have these after parties at these bars. It's just artists everywhere. Just like drinking beers, eating pizza. And you meet someone, you don't know who they are. You're just like, oh yeah, shake your hand, blah blah blah. And then later on, someone would be like, you know who you met? And then they would show you on your phone, and you're like, oh my god, that's him. That's
Oh, dang.
crazy. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, that guy is so sick. You know.
Yeah.
That's why I started taking those photos. You know, the
Oh,
Instax
with
photos.
that book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. And
'Cause I was
so
just like, I need to log all these in. You know.
hmm so when did it start? Or like who was the first person where you were like, okay, I'm gonna start this real quick? Or like,
I did it in I did it in Hawaii first with friends. And then but I had the idea for it after after going to Berlin because I'm just like, like homies are like, you don't document your trips, you know? And then I'm like, not really. That was the first time I went to Berlin. After that, I bought a good camera because I wanted to take pictures of everything.
mhm,
And then, when you go to these jams, people are like, yo, can you sign my black book? Everyone would draw on people's black books. You don't even know how many black books that I have. Like maybe the first 5 pages are signed by somebody, but then you forget a black book on a trip, and then you like buy another black book. So I have a stack of black books that are like just like just only here and there drawn in.
yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, fuck a black book. I'm gonna get a Polaroid or an Instax. I'm gonna take their photo and they can just draw on the photo. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Their
Mm-hmm.
hand style on the photo. That way I remember them from when I went or when I met them. And then I have a good collection of people, like kind of like collecting Marvel cards or baseball cards or Pokemon cards, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And those are so valuable, especially like for artists who have really made a huge name for themselves. Like I think I remember seeing like you had a Nitro's picture in there. And I was just
Oh
like,
yeah.
dang. And I saw it, I'm like, that's like freaking holographic Charizard or something. Like, oh my God, you got like
Yo, to,
sheesh.
to take a picture of Martha Cooper in front of my unfinished
Oh.
piece, that shit was crazy. I was like, wanted to take a picture. And I was like, "Where should we take it?" She goes, "Let's take it in front of your phone, your piece." And I'm like, "Oh, what really?" Like, take a picture. So yeah,
Man.
it became kind of like a goal. Like every jam, I'm like, "Damn, I need to bring my camera, make sure it works, and I need to get film." You know,
Hmm.
so I'm ready for it.
Man, I
Like the
love to
last
shoot.
Long Beach walls, I got a bunch of pictures from last Long Beach walls.
Woo,
Yeah, I'm so
man.
hyped, dude.
Mm-mm-mm. Well, shoot, man. I just want to thank you once again for jumping on this podcast. I had such a great conversation, and it's been a joy to be able to sit here and talk with you and
Same
learn
to
your
you,
story.
man. Honored, dude.
Yeah, like whenever I remember the first time, whenever we met, I noticed that you seemed like you had come through for Outer Space Project, and
Yes.
you were one of the, like, just from our point of view as like people working with the festival, you were like one of the bigger artists on the thing. Like you were like on that top shelf of artists, and you seemed more
What?
interested in the in everybody else, and I always thought that was so inspiring to me because anytime that I had ever seen like the other people seem to be like just kind of just on their own kind of
Oh,
time, or
I'm gonna
they,
go paint my wall.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
would just do my thing, and like, and it's not to say that they were mean or rude, but they just
yeah,
were
yeah.
kind of just standoffish. But it seemed like you were very, very into the people, and there was like that level of like humility and like appreciation and curiosity for the people, and like even trying to emulate that myself is part of the reason why this podcast even exists. And so I just want to thank you
That's
for
what's
that,
up, man.
influence and
Yo,
that
thank you, man.
inspiration. Absolutely,
Thank you.
man. It's been
Yeah,
like
like I said
so cool.
earlier, man, it's all about the connections I make with people when I travel. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And everywhere I go, I soak up that energy and that inspiration from no matter where I go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
And
like, and
I
it
was just stoked
shows.
to be in Atlanta, man, because I felt like I had to like come next level with it. Because the first time I came to Atlanta, I really didn't like what I did, but
Oh no, you
it
showed
was
out. You showed out this time. Showed
yeah, it
out.
was kind of fun, man. That Atlanta humidity ain't no joke though.
Oh no, 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 no. It's we got some like 90-degree days still. It feels like you're outside
Mm.
with a comforter on, just wrapped up. It's ridiculous.
Yo, I think I was wet the whole time. like like my even if I was in shorts and shirt, my arms are just always drenched. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it really don't get
But
cold till like November-ish, like late October, November. So I'm like, we still have a whole month of this
oh
left. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
it's cool because people will go to Atlanta and like randomly run into my wall and be like, text me, like, look what I found, and I'll be like, oh, that's dope. Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, you killed that. I don't drive by that piece often, but every time I'm in that area, I like I gotta go around and see, because ABV is near, it's closer to that wall now. It's like they
Oh,
changed
is it
location. You could walk to
the
that wall
church?
from the new ABV. Yeah,
That gallery looks insane, dude.
yeah, it's huge. It's huge. It's like, yeah, it's a church, but like imagine going in and like, normally you'd see like pews and you'd see like the little stage and all that. It's
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
empty and it's just just artwork.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
picture. I was just like, yo, what the hell? Greg killed it in here. It's nasty.
Yeah. Especially when you think about what the old ABV was like, where it was so much smaller and like it was still a cool spot, but it's like
It's a
it
little
doesn't even
office,
compare.
man.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It does not even compare to the ABV now. It's crazy. But yeah, man, this was cool. This was very, very tight. And I think that this conversation will help a lot of people. And I'm seeing the chat just now looking, and like, people are enjoying it a lot. And so, yeah, I think this is going to be one of them ones, man.
Word, man. Yeah, I had a blast, man, chopping it up with you, bro.
Yeah. Mm. Ah. Yeah, these have been so much fun because I've been able to like, each one of these conversations have been like beneficial in a way of like, as I sit down and draw now, I just have little tidbits, little advice, little like whispers from like past conversations, and it's really helping me like in that creative process. And even just whenever I make decisions, like whether it's a business decision or like how I want to approach a piece, or
Yeah.
the way I communicate, it's been cool. Y'all have been helping me out each and every episode.
So, man, I have to go back and watch every episode.
Yeah, I put them on YouTube each Sunday. Yours will not be out probably for a while, just because like I got a
Oh,
bunch of
good.
them lined up. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, we put them out every Sunday. So yeah, man.
Oh,
And yeah, Fibes, thank you so much for, looks like Fibes came in with a bunch of subs. I appreciate you. Fibes
yeah,
was. This was brought me here.
he's from Information.
Oh, cool. Man, well,
Yeah,
welcome. And thank you for all
that's
the
a good
subs.
homie from Hawaii. So
Oh man, that's what's up. Why is such an amazing place? Like it doesn't even
yeah,
feel real.
that's my character, man. That's why how you're talking about like making connections with people, man. A lot of it I owe to being raised by cool ass parents and growing up in Hawaii, you know, like you just kind of said it with meeting Jack and the crew, you know, like those guys, even them, they have that island spirit and mad cool, you know. So it's the
Absolutely.
same vibes, man.
You know, and seeing them in like that in that big city like background, it's such a nice mix to be able to see because you're able to see somebody approach everything you know very differently. Because I grew up in Atlanta, so it's like I know how city people do, but then it's like when you
Yeah.
see people from the island in the city, it's like, man, just the way
Oh,
they see stuff,
definitely.
the way they
Mm.
behave and communicate, it's so cool.
Oh, totally. They're like fascinated by everything, you know, by their surroundings.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember Jack telling me he was like, you know, all the people in the mainland. I mean, you guys like to go to places like Hawaii because it's like it's tropical. It's like a stereotypical vacation kind of environment, like a sandy beaches, nice
Yeah,
waterway, all this stuff. And he's like, but that's my
the
home,
vacation spot. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he's like, that's my home, and so for me. A vacation spot is like somewhere not sandy, somewhere without the water, somewhere without, these things. So I like coming to the city and like the city feels like vacation to me. And I always thought that was interesting to see like that flip.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Especially yeah, islanders, man. We're from the middle of the ocean, you know.
Yeah, and then I mean, I haven't been everywhere in the world, but Hawaii got the best beaches, like by far. I ain't seen no beach better than Hawaii beaches, like not even close.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Man, that's what I'm gonna be doing, dude. I can't wait to get in that water, bro.
mhm, man. Mm. I can't wait. I can't wait to get back out there at some point. I think that might be our vacation next year. I think my mom wants to take us out to Hawaii. We all go out there,
You know,
but
if you
I don't
guys
know.
go out there, man, I'll give you a list of the best places to check out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it.
Restaurants, sites, all of that.
Mm, okay. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna see. I'll keep you posted if we do. It's still in the air, but I know
Of
Hawaii was in
course.
the hat for sure. But
Very
cool,
dope.
man. Um, well, yeah, I think I'm gonna go on and put a pin in it here, and yeah,
Awesome.
I'll keep you updated. And I'll probably throw over a sketch too, a little Procreate file I can pass over to you whenever I get
Yeah,
the
let's do
time.
it.
Cool, man.
Do it.
Thank you so much once
Yo,
again.
thank you so much, man, for this platform and sharing your stories too. It was dope to share stories with you, man. And dude, anytime, man. If you want to connect on something, dude, I'm right here, bro.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Well, I'll catch you later,
Hell
man.
yeah.
Thank you so much for watching the episode. One of my favorite things about doing this podcast is hearing about when someone resonates with something we said. It's truly the reason I continue to make these happen. Comment down below what stuck with you, and we can continue the discussion further. Also consider liking and subscribing. It helps me bring in more amazing creatives and helps me make this show better for you all every episode. Catch y'all next week.